Hello. Well, not good morning anymore. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good evening for some of you guys, depending on where you are. Hello, hello. Pull in. Oh. There we go. Coming in. Oh, there we go.
I didn't finish my message. I just said hi.
Yeah, go to the chat.
Should I do it again?
I don't know. Let me see from Patricia. Just hi. It's good enough. It says comma like you wanted to say more.
I was, and I hit the wrong button.
If you have more to say, please go for it. Otherwise, hi is good enough. So everyone go to the chat and give me a little hi.
I wanted to ask you if you had any success getting the classes for the summer. I sent an email to you last week, so I hope you got a whole bunch.
I did. I have, give me a second. 1 second. I'll get to
Okay.
it. I have a couple of people who sent me emails asking me for the application for so what I was doing is I have a couple of people who've asked me for the application to be able to sign into the Mac level 2. So I just sent it to them. Nadia, are you here? Because I haven't heard from you yet. No, she's not here yet. So if anyone else needs to sign in for, so today's our final Mac level 1 class. Next Wednesday, we start with Mac level 2. The way this was originally planned, we were going to have a couple of Mac level 2s and then we're going to have a week break, but now we kind of go into the break much sooner. So it's kind of weird because we do a week and then we go on break and then we continue, but doesn't matter because in the end we will continue. So if you're not in the class yet and want to get in, since the class is full, I need you to send me a request and I'll send you the form that then you need to send back to me. And someone today sent me one. Anne, are you here, Anne? No, again, Anne. Okay, the 2 people I need to talk to you have sent me the wrong form. Anne is asking to be in this form, class. Okay, never mind. If you're not here, then that's okay. All right, let's let everyone else in. Someone was asking me for the code to the Mac level 2, I believe is 43201. No, that's the old one. I don't know. I have to look for it, guys. So
What do you need? Level 2? Do you need level 2?
Level 2 code, yeah.
Okay. Do you need the CRN number? Is that what you're
The
asking?
CRN number, yeah.
Okay. 67531.
I'm writing it down. 67531. Okay.
That's
Mac
level 2.
level 2. Okay, there we go. So I wrote it down as you dictated. Perfect. Thank you. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm glad some of you guys are much more on top of it than me.
Well, I just have it in
All right.
a sheet in front of me.
So that starts next Wednesday. So Paul's asking, when does it start? Next Wednesday. Okay, so today's our last one and next Wednesday is the first one. So if you're signed into it, then you'll receive my welcome email from me and then you'll get the link on Wednesday morning. Okay, so there you go. But some people still weren't registered, and so I was trying to get them in, but none of the people who had that issue are here right now. So anyway, all right. It's possible that there are people from the iLife class. I don't know. So welcome.
I'm having trouble finding the chat.
Down at the bottom when I have you share screen, like right to the left of the share screen button. To the right of the mute button, you know, it's kind of a bubble. In between the mute button and the share screen button, there's 4 others, and one of them is the chat, right
Oh,
next to the
really?
big green share screen. So if you see the share screen, right to the left of it.
Well, I don't have it.
Here, let's do this. I'm gonna write something. I'm gonna write the word something. And do you see something appear?
Yes.
There we go. That's your chat. Go click on that.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Writing on it is the best way
was to
because
the
it
right.
appears
That
to
was
you.
to the right of mine. Oh, okay. Thank
Sorry
you.
for the inspired text of something, but there you go. It worked. All right. That's fine, Rhonda. Thanks for listening in. Okay, so today we're going to try to finish the conversation about what to do with all the stuff that's in your computer and what's the best way to handle it. Next week, when we start with Mac level 2, we'll be working with some of the apps and also working on how to save all this material and back it up and stuff like that. Working on some of the apps, I mean, begin to use the native apps that come with the Mac to the best of the ability with the cloud and your phone and your pads and all that kind of thing. Okay. All right. So Skylar, my dog is scratching.
Oh, wow.
He's on the rug doing this thing on his back, like, life is good. And so he's like,
Feels so good.
yeah. That's his, you know, okay. All right, so I'm going to, for a while now, people have been saying, what's up with the recents? Oh my God, aren't you here, Vicky? Vicky has been asking me about the recents forever and she's not here. And I'm like, I'll give you the answer. And she's not here right now. Oh, okay. You're finally about to hear what it is. Let me share my screen. Yeah, Paul, that's fine. Just so let me just reiterate that if you have to miss classes, either, you know, ideally let me know that if it's the first class, like Paul's mentioning, he won't be there for the first class of the Mac level 2. Let me know, because since the class is really full, if people don't show up, I have to drop them. But if you let me know, like, actually, can you email me, Paul? Because in the chat, it's going to come and go and I'm going to forget. So when I send the invitation to the Mac OS level 2 and I say, hey, welcome to the class, that's a good time to respond. Well, I won't be there for the first time, because then I'll know not to drop you. Because then my information will be all in the same realm. Right now, it'll be like, I forget. It's like, who said he wasn't coming? You're welcome. But just so you know, if you're gone, I've mentioned this before, ideally, if you can just sign in. Rhonda said she's not at her computer right now, but she's you can sign in with your phone, with an iPad, even if you sign in for a short time, as long as later you catch up with the video. I am happy to give you attendance. I can't give you attendance if you're not there at all in my roster of people who attended that day. And then the school doesn't get a portion, which, you know, our budget is always absolutely in the red, and we're millions in debt and stuff like that, especially with all of COVID. It's been crazy. So anything like just showing up for a little bit helps. And if you can't, because you're completely out of any range, that's fine. Just let me know. Okay. So I am sharing with you guys my Finder window. And if you notice here on the left side, I've been talking to you about your computer kind of as a house, where there's certain, like, you buy a house and it already comes with certain rooms, right? And when you buy a Mac, it comes with certain rooms in it, and you put stuff in the kitchen, stuff in the bedroom, and stuff in the bathroom, because that's the logical place for things to go. And that would be the folders like desktop and downloads and applications. Like, they have certain things that need to go in certain places. if you want to create more spaces, and that's the main thing we're going to work on today, we're going to go in, hopefully by now your desktop and your downloads are empty or empty-ish, and all of your stuff has been put into the downloads, and you've been hopefully working as your homework, creating some folders, some structure to start putting things in. So we're going to keep deepening that conversation today. Okay. But that's the place where you would create your own folders, the documents folders always. Now, for those of you who have your documents in the cloud, that means that the main thrust of your material is in the cloud. That does not mean that you don't see it here on your computer as if it were here. It's just that it's also being saved in the cloud, so that if you also connect your phone or your iPad, you also have all that material available in the rest of your applications. And the other advantage, of course, was that if your computers or phones disappear, get lost, break, die, you change because you decide to upgrade to a better phone, then all you need to do is put that Apple ID, as long as they all have the same Apple ID, into your new device that you purchase or inherit. Some people always get the computer their kids don't want anymore or something like that. Then you get to put all your stuff again. Okay. So no, Deborah, that's a great question. That's what's really cool, that if the stuff is in the cloud, it is also still on your computer. And we spent a lot of time the first few days of this class talking about that. And I know you weren't here at that point. Especially I think the first day or two, we spent a lot of time in the cloud. We're going to spend more time on that in level 2, talking about the cloud, because we're going to start using all the applications across the board with our different devices. And so you'll see a bit more of that. But if you're not connected to the internet, and to her question, you guys read her question is, if the internet is down, do you not have access to your documents if they're on the cloud? No, that's the cool thing, that if your stuff is on your computer, you can still work on it. So say that I go for 2 weeks up to a vacation to a place where I don't have internet, middle of the mountains, camping in the middle of nowhere, and for some reason I decided to bring my computer, then you can still work on your document. But say that you're writing a novel and you're sitting next to a waterfall and, waxing lyrical about some beautiful thing. If at the same time your body could be at home checking your stuff on the cloud, they're not talking because there's no internet. So that same novel on the cloud right now is old, right? Because you've got new stuff on your computer. The moment you walk into your home or any place that has Wi-Fi and your computer connects to the internet, then it kind of updates so that all the copies are the same. Okay. So it does need internet to keep updated, but other than that, you can still work on it, but then the copy of it gets corrected or connected by the time you connect again. So let me see. Other questions? Catherine, can you ask me that question again in the Mac class, in the iLife class, please, so that I don't go there right now? Okay, so we're going to spend more time on the cloud, as I said, in Mac level 2, because at the beginning, that's kind of, again, where we need to go in order to start using our apps in a connected way. But that was a great question. And so, and that's why I kind of referred to it. But Catherine's question is more something I'll talk in the iLife class. All right. So now, hopefully you guys have begun to make lots of folders to organize your things. And if you haven't yet, we're going to keep doing that today. But first, I want to take you to the good old recents. And I'm kind of waiting for Vicky to show up, but she's not here. So, oh, well. So good old recents. Does everyone have a recents place here? Click on your recents. You might have heard me say, no, ignore it, forget it, don't do anything about recents. And everyone who's asked questions, I wanted you to first have a good understanding of, documents and desktop and downloads and applications. So let me clarify. Documents and desktop can be on your computer or on the cloud. depending on what you decided to do with your settings. But downloads is always on your computer. So anything you leave in your downloads is on your computer. For better or for worse, if your computer dies, that's where it is. So you lose it unless you have a backup. Applications is always on your computer. Always, always, always. That's where the applications needs to be installed for them to run. Okay. So that's always on your computer. So downloads and applications are always on your computer. Now, some of you guys, if you have the downloads and documents right here, usually it means it's in your computer. And if you have them here, that means it's in your in the cloud. But notice that I have a desktop here and I have a desktop here, right? Like it shows up twice. That is the same thing. It's not two desktops, okay? It's just that this here truly is telling you where it is. It's in the cloud and you're accessing your desktop and it's in the cloud. This is just a place called favorites where the computer puts the things that you might want access to the most. So it's a repeat to the same thing. So if your desktop and documents are here, it doesn't mean that they are not in the cloud. It just means that it's a quick access to them. It's a way to reach them. Otherwise, you would have to go all the way into your Macintosh hard drive, enter your user system, into your name, and then you would get to your DOS. But not, so it's very complicated. So it's just a quick access to it. But it could be that it's in either place. So how do we know? Remember that I made you turn on the path bar. So the quickest thing is to click on the desktop and then look down here. And if it ends in the cloud, your stuff is in the cloud. Okay, so I'm going to just make this a little bit smaller. You can see. If you click on downloads, it's in your computer. If you click on applications, it's in your computer. If you click on documents, it's in the cloud. So that's really the main thing, right? I have no idea what mirror is. Mimi is saying that she has something called mirror. Never heard of it. Can you click on it? Where does it show? What does it show you? By the way, anything can be put here by yourself by mistake, for better or for worse. I can grab this finances folder and put it here, right? So anything can be here. So at some point, something got dragged there called mirror. Putting it there does not mean that the finances disappears. It was just a quick access that I decided because it's tax time. I'm having to do my finances all the time. So I put it here to make it quickly accessible. I go straight to my finances when I'm done. And then, I don't need to deal with my finances anymore because, I'll wait another year to it, just drag it out. It goes away. So this favorites area is just quick access to certain places that you want handy. Okay, that's all that is. Now remember that I had mentioned the downloads here last week and that was the same thing. This is a quick way to access your downloads or a quick way to access if you wanted, say that all your writing, or again, say that you're working on your finances and you really want your finances handy, right? So then you can go over here and put that same finances folder. You can put it down here. And then you have your finances handy while you're working with it. And when you're done, you drag it out. So both this favorites here and this area over here are just quick ways to access the stuff that's inside your documents. Does that make sense?
Diana, how do I get your picture back? I was playing around. I wanted mine on here and then I got rid of yours.
I don't know. One thing is, if you don't know how to raise your hand, that's fine. But like Molly's been waiting with a question, that's fine. And I haven't answered yet. And you speak up. It's fine. I don't know what you've done to your viewing. The best I can say is go down to your Zoom app on your dock and right click and say show all your windows. Let me
no available windows. That's okay. Don't worry about it.
Down here when you say, look at this, go to the Zoom app, right click, and then say show all windows. And when you do that, usually things tend to pop up if they were hiding behind. Oh, if it says no available windows, then just click on that. Means that you already had all whatever window you have was available.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, so Mimi, that thing that says mirror there, It's probably something that got dragged out and put there, but I wouldn't really know what it is. I asked you, did you click on it? Did it say what happens? I can't hear you. Your sound is off. I hear your mouth moving. I see your mouth moving, but I don't hear you.
You talking to me?
No,
No.
Mimi.
No.
Mimi is moving her mouth, but I can't hear her. Do you guys hear her? Is it just me? No.
Mm.
She has no sound. Okay. So Molly, what's your question? Molly, I can't hear you either. Molly, start again. I can't hear you.
Okay, okay. Yeah, now this is an older question about recent. My recent goes down to 2017.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about recents right now.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I haven't yet. I'm kind of clarifying. Everything has a spot. Everything has a place. You can
Oh,
see where it comes from, right? Just
Yeah.
reminding people that if you go to downloads, if you go to everything, just kind of doing this again, make sure everyone has this path bar to see what I'm talking about when I'm pointing to it.
Mhm.
Now, let me go back to the, just sharing this. I had switched to show Lynn how to do that. Now, there's two things that don't follow that. If I click on AirDrop, that's a completely different creature. That's got nothing to do,
Mhm.
nothing to do with your files. So we can't really use what you in class when we're in person, I can demo AirDrop, but here we can't but let me tell you what it is. AirDrop, as you can see, lets you share instantly with people nearby. So here's the thing. If say I am over at, Annette's house and Dorothy is there too. There's three of us right there, right? We're all in the same house.
Mhm.
And we're all using the same Wi-Fi because Annette's like, here's the passcode to my Wi-Fi, right? So we're all using the same Wi-Fi. Then we can connect through AirDrop and Annette can send me, instead of having to email me or message me something, she can send me something through AirDrop. And here's the thing, it's instantaneous. And she can send me 100 big photos, videos, stuff that's really big that otherwise would be impossible to mail. She can just send it through AirDrop and instantly Dorothy and I would pick it up in our phones. Okay. So it's for people connected into the same network and in the same area to connect, share things from their computers or their phones or their iPads. Okay. So it's got nothing to do with location of files. It's a method of connecting through Wi-Fi different devices. Okay. So if two of you guys are in the same area, you connect the same Wi-Fi, you can send each other stuff. And again, for example, when I'm on a trip with my kids or with friends, lots of people take photos of the trip. And then you all kind of want to share with each other the photos that each other took. So it's a great time to, when you're all back in the motel, to connect to the same Wi-Fi and say, okay, here are my photos. And you say, here are mine. And suddenly, boom, you have everyone's photos for the whole trip. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. It can use to send anything, but that's really what that is. So that's AirDrop. We can't test it here because we're all in different places, but try it someday with someone to figure out for fun. All right. It's really useful, but very, very occasionally are you in that situation when that needs to happen. When it happens, it's very useful. All right. And finally, we get to the good old recents. Now, I have skipped music, pictures, download movies and music and pictures because, as I said, I would rather you not have it there, right? I would rather you not have those icons there. If you do have them there, we kind of did this last week. I recommend you move that stuff to your documents and you just get rid of those little
Movies, documents.
Pointers to those folders. They exist. If I go back to the Macintosh hard drive, users and open Musakio and open stuff, as you can see, yes, we do have music, pictures, all that exists in your computer anyway. Okay, that's not to say that they don't exist, but you just don't bring out a quick little access to it because you can just mess up stuff really badly. You can mess up your photos if you're saving music in your library and stuff like that. So it's better not to access them. Okay, so that leaves us recents. What is recents? If you head down to the bottom, where is recents? Does it tell me anything?
Yes.
It shouldn't, unless you have something selected. Applications tells me it's in the Mac hard drive. Downloads tell me it's in the Mac hard drive. Desktop tells me in the cloud. Recents, nothing.
Tells me how many items.
Tells me how many items in the status bar. Yep. And here in the is the stuff right now, just with recents, it tells you nothing. If you start clicking on stuff though, I'm going to click on something. Oh, that's in the iCloud drive, in the documents. And if I click on this, that's in the iCloud and the documents. And if I click on this, that happens. I happen to be having everything in the documents right now. I'm looking, I don't have a good example. Let me, 1 second. Let me open this and close this for a second. I just
Interesting. Yeah,
opened something. Okay, so go back to recents now.
yeah.
What did I just open in the downloads? This is the non-credit application. Find the file that I've been sending. By the way, Nadia, I haven't heard from you. I sent you the thing and I didn't get it yet. Okay. And a couple other people. That is in my downloads and I just opened it, right? So when I just opened it, I close it. You guys saw that when I shared, did you see it opening?
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it opening because I'm sharing only this one window. So when I go to recents, what's my most recently opened file? The non-credit application. It's open today. And when I click on it, where is it? It's in the downloads folder. Does that make sense? This
Yeah.
has nothing to do with where things are. This points to just what you opened last. Some people don't know, they don't take this class, and maybe you might forget at some point what, to look for stuff in the right place, to look for things inside of the documents, inside of the folders that you made, that you might remember, oh, I worked on that last week. So you go to recents, and by time you kind of go, yeah, this was last week. Oh, there it is. That's the file. Because this isn't a place. If you, for some things, it's easy to say, oh, the finder is kind of like a house and there's a room, the bathroom, and there's a room, we can make it analog. But when it comes to recents, there's no real way to give you an example of this in real life because we don't have this in real life. Wouldn't it be nice if you misplaced your keys? You don't know where they are. And there was some place you could go check a list that would go, oh, last time you used it, the keys were in the junk drawer. And you'd go, oh, thank you. And you go to the junk drawer and you get them. That would be pretty cool, right? In real life, we don't have that. We have to search every drawer in our house to find the keys. Recents is only possible on a computer. It just tells me what were the last files that I used in order of date. So when I look at the top of it, that's the last one I used. This was the one I used before March 2nd. This one I used in February 23rd, this one February 9th, and so on and so forth. That's why, Molly, you mentioned that yours goes down to when? Like, I can't hear you. You have to. I can't hear you.
2017.
2017, right? If you scroll down,
Yeah.
it keeps a list, a record of all the files that you've been using.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's not one place. This is just like a list sorted in order of what have you been using. That's all it is. So if I click on this one, it tells me it's in the documents folder. If I click on this one, it tells me in the documents folder. If I click on this one, it tells me that it's in the 2022 Mac Level 2 Zoom document folder, which is also in the cloud. So this is the path to get to that file.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have that path. I have nothing to show that.
Well, do you have your path?
Is there,
Are you viewing your path for anything else? When you click on downloads, do you see this?
yeah, I do, but it's not listed like you have it on mine. It's completely blank.
Well, you need to click on
Did
something.
Okay. Oh, I see.
You need to, because it just the file itself tells you. So
Oh.
this can be in one up until now, if you look at downloads, it's all in the downloads. If you look at documents, it's all in the documents. If you look at desktop, on the desktop. When you click on recents, this stuff is all over the place.
Yeah, that's
The
right.
only thing that matters about this is when it was open. So this is not an organization as far as we open a closet and that's what's in my closet. We open the bathroom and that's in my bathroom. This is why it's impossible to make this be something that we have in real life, because this is like you open a place that tells you where's the last time you touched something in your house, right? Or
Yes.
something like that. So that's all this is. And if you need to find out, well, where is this one? The path will tell you. This one is in the downloads. This one is in the folder called this, called this, called this. This one is directly in the desktop. How
Mhm.
about this one? This one's in my documents folder. So now, what's the purpose of this? I think the purpose is this is people who do not have any idea how to use the rest of it. They can always come back here and find a file if they know kind of when they used it last.
Mhm.
Now that's a little bit useless when you think about that it can go down to 2017 like Molly's. Like, are you going to remember what month of what year you used a certain file? So it kind of helps you at the beginning. Like if you use if you're working on your taxes, instead of having to go to the documents and find your financial folder and then open the financial folder and find your taxes that you're working on, you can just go to recents and go, I've been using it every day, so it'll be somewhere on top of this, right? So it's just another, now, this is very important. It is not another copy. And I know there's some questions about this in the chat. I'll answer in a minute, but I'm first trying to establish what it is and not what it isn't. It is, and now so what it's not another copy of the photo of the image at all. Just like I showed you, if I see the finances folder here and I put a little link to it right here, that's the exact same thing. It's not that I've copied my finances. Okay. It's just a different, sorry, I need to keep viewing things as list. It's just another copy of the link to the finances, but I don't have now doubled up my finances. And if I get rid of this one by removing it, it doesn't mean that my finances have disappeared. Okay. It just means that the link to it has disappeared. So when I go to recents, it's a bit more dangerous because Yolanda had a question saying, if I delete from recent something that I reviewed, am I deleting the file from wherever it was? Yes. If you select this file and delete it from here, so remember where it is? It's in the downloads. Remember that?
Mhm.
It's in the downloads. If I right click and move this to the trash from recents, if I go to downloads, it's gone.
Oh.
So this was here in the downloads and I deleted it from recents and it's gone. I'm going to do Command Z to undelete that, right? So it's come back and there it is again. I just did a Control Z to undelete that. But this is a bit dangerous because unless you need it, people tend to, the whole time I keep telling you copies and stuff and links are not important. They don't get deleted except for here, except for the one in recents. These are actually access to the file. And if you delete it from here, it gets gone. So unless you're really comfy with it, I'm really worried because some people go, oh, if this is just me viewing the link, I can get rid of it. No, then you will get rid of it from wherever it is, right?
Oh
So here
my.
it's in downloads, but I see it again in recents. So when I delete it from here, I deleted it from recents, but it wasn't a copy. It was the same thing. So when I go to downloads, it's gone. So that's
Oh.
not good.
Mhm.
Okay. So do not delete from recents because it will go in and delete it from inside of whatever deep place you had buried it and saved it. I'm going to do Command Z to undo that again.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So that it's there. So do not use recents as a thing. Oh, I delete from recents. Now, that's why if you have a file there that still says 2017, that file is in there somewhere. Click on that really old file and it'll tell you where it is.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's now that's also why this doesn't weigh anymore on your computer because this isn't a copy. This is that same file, only it's just showing you where it is. So it's not like, okay, I have 2,000 files in here since 2071. Why don't I just get rid of them? I don't want all this stuff clogging up my computer. Well, no, these are your files. These are your unique files that are in your documents or in your desktop. So if you delete anything from in here, you're deleting that file. So be very, very careful.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Yolanda, have you been deleting stuff from your recents?
I'll have to.
Yes, thank you, Diana. Oh my God, thank you for enlightening me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
didn't
yeah,
realize about having to go to the path and where it is actually. Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. Thank
I mean,
you.
if you don't need it, if you click here and it's a recipe for chocolate chip brownies that when you made it was horrible, sure, delete it from here. You don't want to keep that file. It'll delete from that folder that you had inside your recipes where you had your cookies, where you had your chocolate chip brownies. But it will be gone from your computer because you'll never make it again. Go for it. It's a good way to delete stuff that you don't need. Go down to the old stuff and go, wow, do I really need this invitation to that party that happened 2 years ago?
That's-
Probably not. Delete it, right? Do I
Okay.
need this flyer that I downloaded for an event that happened, 8 months ago? No, delete it. It's not a bad idea to help it clean your stuff. But beyond that, be aware that if you delete it from here, you are deleting that actual file that you have somewhere in your computer, and that it's there one time only. You just happen to be seeing it in this space. If you're never going to use this, then just get rid of it too, kind of, because then you don't run into that trouble, and just find your stuff where it belongs, in your documents, inside the folder where you put your stuff, yada, yada. Does that make sense, you guys?
Yes.
For some of you, it's really useful and you don't want to get rid of it. Just be aware then, if you don't remember you put stuff and you have an idea of when a few months ago I used it, you can go down here and go, ha, there it was. I had no idea where I left it, but there it is. Ha, finally, yay. But guess what? You need to have opened that file for it to be here. Just having that file does not put it here. I have a lot of files in my documents, but they don't show up in recents. The only thing that show up in recents is the things that I have opened and used. So just because you have lost a file, if you haven't used it, maybe someone sent you a photo and you just put it away, right? Somewhere in your computers, and you didn't put it in the right place. You didn't put it in the Photos app, and you're looking for it desperately. Then someone's asking me something, so hold on. So then I lost track when I read your question. Give me a second. What was I saying? Oh, so if someone, just because someone gives you a file and you put it in your computer somewhere, doesn't mean that it's going to be in recents. But if you just recently opened it, maybe you haven't cooked those cookies, you haven't baked those cookies since 2017. You're going to find it way down in 2017. It'll be hard to find it that way. It's easier to go into documents, recipes, cookies, and delete it from there. Does that make sense? Now, go back to why I got distracted. A couple more questions. The email, can I email an attachment and recents? Yeah. I mean, you can't from here. Wait, when I say yeah, from here, you can drag this into your email, for example. But if you are in your email and you say browse to go find the file, I don't think when you browse, you see the recents. Maybe you do. Maybe you do see the recents. I don't know. I'd have to see it. We're going to be talking about mail next class in the Mac level 2. So then we can check. I believe there's a chance that you do see there. I don't remember if the recents shows up as a place, actually. So I don't know the right answer to that. 1 second, Paul, I see there's some hands up, but there's some questions in the chat that I'm trying to answer first. Does the search feature, is this not about recents? Let me just go to recents questions. Can I email as an attachment and will things that have been put into the trash appear in recents? So then could you be trying to delete from the trash? So no, so say that I go to documents, right? Where was it? Downloads. If I go to downloads and just delete it from the place where it's at, I just move it to the trash, right? Say I just moved something to the trash. If I go to recents, it's gone from here too. Once it's gone, it's gone. It doesn't appear there anymore because it's that same file. This is truly that file. So once you deleted it, it's not there. Now, if you go to the trash and recover it, and you're not seeing this, but I'm putting it back from the trash, then it does appear again, and then it does appear in recents again. Okay, I just recovered it. I just took it out of the trash. So yeah, when you went that, so let me just finish with the recents questions. I'll go back to the original question. I use the recents feature often in Word. That recents is different than this recents. Oh yeah. All recents are different. So say that you guys, this is a question that is not about Apple products, but any product lately comes with a place where you can go to recents for that product. So if you open Excel, you go to the recents inside of Excel and it shows you the last Excel files that you worked on. And you can open it from there. The last Word files you work on. If you're in Photoshop, the last Photoshop thing. So that's each app has its own application, but only pointing to its own files that curated inside of that own application. So this is completely different. Yeah. Patricia, you don't have recents. Maybe you just got rid of it at some point like that on purpose or not on purpose. So that's why you don't have it. Now, how far back should recents go? Is it preset? It goes back to whenever you started using your computer. So if you started in 20 or since recents appeared in the computers, which was around 2017. So in some version of OS, it appeared. And if you haven't changed your computer, there it is. Now I set up this account that I'm teaching you guys from. I set it up in June, right before classes started. So guess what? That's as far as mine goes. Sorry. No, this is from 2020. I thought I had set it up in June 2021. So I had opened it in the other one. Anyway, there it is, June 2020 and then June 2021. I created a couple of different accounts for teaching that I stopped using. And then this one I probably had created earlier. Then I didn't use it for a whole year. And then I began to use it in 2021 for teaching. So that's why you have very few things here. But in your computers, if you use it a lot, you should have more in between dates. By the way, if you're surfing the internet and open emails, all that doesn't show up in here. Okay, this is just about files, extra files, things that you have created, which are either, you know, in Word and Excel and PowerPoint and numbers and keyword and pages in PDFs and who knows, QuickBooks, whatever file you have, you know, beyond things like internet or email. It does not show you emails. It does not show you the photos in the Photos app, for example. It's just other kinds of files. If you have screenshots, so if you made a screenshot of something, right? So say I'll make a little screenshot here. I'll make a little screenshot of that. And there it is, it appears. So screenshots always appear on your desktop, okay? So if I look in my desktop right now, this little screenshot just got made. There it is, right? It just got made. But have I opened it yet? Do I need it? Was it like if I click on this to see, remember how to see what things are? If I click on this and I want to see, if I hit the space bar, I can look it up. And it's like, oh, that's what that was. Do I need it anymore? No. I'll go to this one. What is this? Oh yeah, I need that. What about this? Oh, that's the chat. These are the saved chats of when you write things. What's this? What's that? Okay. And so, yeah, you can say, oh, I don't need it anymore. Right click, move to trash. And it deletes also from my desktop. You'll see that it disappeared. It was in my desktop a second ago. And if I look in here, it's gone. There's no screenshot there. So yes, you can delete things from here. And in a way, an order of appearance for people who take a lot of screenshots, that might work. Here's a screenshot I took in July 2021. And these are screenshots that I use to teach you guys things about the Mac. So I'm not going to delete those, but that one that I just did, I deleted. So yeah, you can delete things from here. It will delete from wherever they are. And this one happens to be in my documents folder. Let me go back to more questions. Is there a recent stored for a limited period of time? If so, original files be deleted. What? Is there a way to have recent store items? Recents, you don't control recents. You can't control recents. Recents stuff gets put in there only and simply because they were opened and they show up by date. So you cannot store anything in there. Does that make sense? It's not a place. If you're going to store stuff, you need to put it in desktop or documents, downloads, folders. That's where you store stuff. If you've opened it lately, recents will show it, but that's it. You do not put things in here. You can't take out, but if you take it out from here, it's because you're deleting it and you're taking it out from where it belongs. Okay. But you can't say, oh, I don't want this one to show as if I've watched it. I don't want anyone to know that I just looked at this file. Well, if you delete it, you delete the file, but this list just shows when you last opened it. Okay. So if so, will older original files be deleted where they are stored? Yes. Anything you delete from here gets deleted from wherever it's stored. Does that make sense? Is that the question you were trying to ask, Jeannie?
I was wondering if, for instance, with trash, you can set up certain cutoff period, like only keep
Yeah.
stuff for 2 years.
Yeah, no. Recents is
Can't do that.
recents is just a running tab of what you've been opening.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Back to a question. Paul, you had your hand up.
Yes, I was hoping someone else came up with my same question, but I was with you. I clicked on my recents. It told me where everything was, but all of a sudden I did something. And now when I click on anything, it just says 1 of 332. Selected one of
Go ahead and share your
332.
your screen because I don't know what you're talking about. So share your screen because
Well,
I don't
Okay.
really
it says-
see your
okay.
question.
Well, it just says at the bottom, 1 of 332 selected instead of where they are. And I'm trying to.
Oh, you
share.
need to show me because I'm not, sometimes I understand the question. This time I really don't. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Can you try to share
okay.
your screen?
Okay, I'm clicking on share.
Maybe it's a simple answer, but I'm just not getting the. So
I
once
guess
you
no
hit the
one else-
share, hold on, once you hit the share, then there's another, at the bottom right, there's another button that says share. It's 2 buttons that you need to click that say share.
Okay, shoot.
Do
Well, now I'm,
you see the second one?
no, here I'm going back. Now I have desktop, big picture here and
If you're seeing desktop, just choose that and then say share on the bottom right. You should see another share.
oh, I don't, that second.
You can
Hmm.
tell me what you're seeing and then I can tell you what to do. If you don't tell me, I don't know where you're at.
Yeah. Well, I'm hitting share and I'm not getting anything but.
Yeah. Are you getting something about open system preferences?
Well, okay, hold on. I see it now.
There it is. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Now we're seeing.
Okay, now it was hidden. Okay, I'm going down to the bottom of my recents. When I click on any one of them.
Yeah.
See, it says 1 of 32 selected down there. It used to tell me where it was.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, so it just means, okay, I get the question. It just means that you've selected one of all of them. You have 332
I'm-
files in there
oh.
and you've selected one.
Okay, because I was worried if
Mhm.
I deleted one of these, I was going to delete this particular number of.
No, go down, go ahead and select something there on the left side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
select something, whatever. Now hold down the shift key
Okay.
and then go select the one that's called attachment now. Right there where your mouse is, just click.
Attachment.
Just click, yeah. So now you've selected 6 of 332. See how 6 of them are blue?
I see.
So this just means how many you have selected. You have 332 files and 6 of them are selected now.
I see. And
That's all.
if I hit the command key, I could alternate the different ones that I want.
Yeah. So you can now go click on one again. Just go click on one that's not selected right now. Go click on one above that.
Okay. I'll
Yeah,
do-
now hold that command key
Yeah.
and then select 2 or 3 others.
Okay.
And then now you're selecting 2 of 332, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, that's all that means.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you. Uh-huh.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't understand what you were asking, but yeah, so sometimes that's why I say when I can't understand what you're asking, as soon as you share your screen,
Mhm.
it becomes clear to me how to help you. Okay, so
And it's funny that why I couldn't get to the second share was outside. I had
yeah,
this
sometimes
remote.
it's hiding underneath
Yeah,
and the
okay.
dock and stuff like that. Okay,
Okay, thank
you're welcome. So now, let me go back to sharing mine. And actually, I'm sharing my whole thing. Let me just click on this one. So how do you do a screenshot? I'll explain that later. It's outside of the comment that we're having. So Diane, Yolanda, to prevent accidental deletions from recents, can I transfer or drag them to document files? No, Yolanda, this is the same one that's in your documents files. You can't drag it anywhere. This is the one that is in your documents or downloads or wherever it is. It is the one. So say that you're here and you try to drag it somewhere. Say that I want to put it back in downloads. It's just going to be like nothing because it's there already, right? But say that from recents, I try to move it to documents, right? When I go back to downloads, it's not there anymore. I have moved it from documents to downloads. So it's really confusing because you didn't move it from downloads to documents. You wanted it there, but you did it from recent. So you're not really, I mean, you can from here say, oh, it's in documents now, and I wanted it in downloads, or right now it's in downloads and I want it in documents, so I can move it back to downloads, right? So I can do that, but it still shows up here. It's never moved from recents. The only thing that keeps changing is what's down here. So this is not a very good place to do organization from. Can you? You click on this and you go, where's that? Why is that there? I don't want it there. I want it somewhere else. Can you move it from here to something else? Sure, I can move it from here to downloads, for example. By the way, when you're in the cloud, every time you move something from the downloads or into the cloud or out of the cloud, it tells you. Well, just so you know, you're moving it out of the cloud or into the cloud, right? Because that's what you're doing. So you can do that. But when you get over here, it'll still be completely like unmoved. Recents will not care where you moved it to. It's still, it doesn't matter where you have it. It still shows up here. You can't take stuff from here and save it out of this list. This is not about location. If I move this from downloads, right, let's pay attention. Enabled non-credit final right now says swear it's in downloads. I'm going to move it to documents. Let's do that. So now when it moves to documents and I click on it, where does it say it is? It says it's in documents. It hasn't changed from here. And recents it's still here. It's because it's the last thing I use. It doesn't care where it is, documents or downloads. Does that make sense? It's still the one file. It's going to still show up in recents because it's the last thing I open. That's the only thing that matters to this. Does not care where in the world you're putting it. Okay. So I'm going to move it back to downloads. And that's when the computer goes, are you aware that you're moving it from the iCloud into downloads? And I'm going to go, yeah, because that means I'm taking it out of the cloud. So now it's back into downloads and it's still in non-credit. It hasn't moved from the recents because all it cares in recents is what? When you used it. So this is not a place to be taking things from to store them anywhere because this is actually stored somewhere. Does that make sense, Yolanda? Does that answer your question? I can't hear your answer. Your sound is off.
Yeah, I was able to move them from because I have until 2017 and I moved them to the documents. And now when you said it is still in the recent, I just realized I saw that they are still in the recent, but then I had them also pulled. In other words, now I have two things.
No. If you moved them, if they were in one folder and you move them to another, they just got moved. They did not duplicate. They just got moved.
Okay. So when I was able to drag them to the documents so I can review them before I delete them.
Yeah.
Then you pointed out that it is still, you still had that copy in the recent, and now I saw it.
No,
there.
it's not a copy. It's not a copy. It's not a copy. It is not a copy. It is the file. The recent is just showing you when you used it last. But if you move this from somewhere into the documents, it truly moved into your documents. but it's left wherever it was. It's gone
Okay.
from where it was. It did not make a copy. So now
Right.
if you move it into documents, it's in your documents. It does not affect, it still shows up as 2017 in your recents because you didn't open them. If you were to open them, then they would pop up to the top. But
Okay.
this is not another copy. This is so important for you guys to understand for two reasons. Not only is it not another copy, but if you think it's a copy and delete it because you don't want to, then you're deleting the original file. So unless you're very clear on this concept, I recommend getting rid of recents. It can really only make you mess up.
Okay,
If
okay.
you're
okay.
very clear that this is only about time and that this is the original one and only file that you have of it, and never delete it from here unless you truly want to delete it from where it lives, then that's fine. But this is not a copy. So if you
Okay.
truly delete this, you are deleting the thing that happens to be inside of classes, documents, iCloud. If I delete this one, it deletes that one because it's not a copy. This is truly it.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Not a
So you
copy.
won't make space by organizing anything in here. No, not at all. You will just move things around, but you won't make space. All right. Can anyone edit the name recents to alert you? I don't know. I've never tried to edit the name. Can you? No, it doesn't let you. Because really all it's showing you is that recents is a perfect name for it because it's a time-based type of thing. If it's confusing, I don't know how many of you are going to dare do this, but if this is confusing to you, please get rid of it. Right click and remove from sidebar. Like get rid of this because you can only make more mistakes than you can. I mean, how many, unless, you know, if you begin to learn where your things are, basically always click on documents to find your stuff. You don't need recents, right? The only
Okay.
reason you would need recents is if you just don't remember where anything is and you know you used it a few months ago. So you go over here and you go, let me see, 2 months ago. Oh, there's that file that I couldn't find. Oh, where is it? Oh, it was there. It was inside of Mac, classes, documents. Okay. So it can be slightly useful, but it's more unuseful if you don't be aware that this is the place that's the original file. So if you don't want it here, right click, remove from sidebar. That's it. If you do want it there, keep it, just don't delete stuff from it. And no, you can't edit the name. Okay, now that's why I couldn't explain recents until now, because until you guys were very clear about these places and spaces where we put our stuff in, I've tried to explain recents at the beginning once, and it was virtually impossible because there was no way you could understand that until you did some file handling. So now we're going to do some of that file handling. Paul, your hand is up. Is that because I forgot to lower your hand after I answered you, or is
yeah.
it a new question?
No new questions. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
All right. So thanks, Deborah. Okay, so now I'm going to head back to documents, and now let's done with recents. I'm not going to use recents for anything else anymore other than show it to you. So now we're back to documents. And what we're going to do here in documents is what we started doing last week, which was we began to create loose folders. Remember? How many of you guys created those folders? Because if you just watch this part, nothing is going to change in your computer. I want you not just to watch, I want you to make folders. All right. So let me go back on questions. I think that there was some questions that I skipped.
It was
Oh, Catherine's about
for how to search the
search.
documents.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. When you search, let me just share my entire screen. There's a couple of different ways to search for stuff in a Mac. When you want to search, you know what, actually the Spotlight is something I talk about Mac level 2 now that I think about it. So which is the feature Spotlight is the
I can
search.
wait. It's fine.
So yeah, I'm going to talk about it more in the next feature, in the next thing. Let's see how far we get with organizing files, because that's what I want to do right now. I want to make sure we leave our files as organized as we can by the end of this session. Now, how many of you guys, remind me here again, have iPads? Give me a little yes. Go click on the bar where it says reactions and click on the yes if you have an iPad. I know more of you have it, so if you don't know how to get to the yes, then not that I prefer that, but you can also say yes in the chat, I guess. It doesn't help me as much, but all right, so I'm saying, Irma, by the way, I just emailed you before the class started the form. Okay. You're welcome. All right, so only 2 of you have iPads. I don't believe that. I'm sure more of you have iPads. I'm sorry. You've in the past had questions about iPads. Really? If you, okay, raise your hand like this if you have an iPad and you don't know how to find the yes. All right, I'm surprised that it's only 2 of you guys. I'm 100% sure it was more of you. All right, well then, then I won't spend that much time on that question. Maybe it's people in the iLife class. I know that there is almost half of you guys once I asked who had an iPad. Why I'm saying this, because if you have a newer iPad, in fact, not even any iPad, but a newer iPad, although I don't know exactly how new it has to be. I think it's the Pro, excuse me. You can actually access all these files and documents and stuff like that, pretty much the same way we do on a computer. So that's why I was asking. So if it's one of the newer iPads, you can go to files and access them. That said, everyone else here probably has an iPhone, right? Unless you don't have an iPhone, say no, but I'm going to just clear your answers. You pretty much all have a phone, right? So if your stuff is on the cloud, which is about half of you, less than half of you, then you can go to your phone and your iPads and look up the app called Files, and you'll see all your files that are in the cloud on your phone. Again, as long as you have the iCloud set up and everything connected. Now, when they're on your phone, that doesn't mean that you can open them. Like your iPad might be able to open a Word file, your phone might, if you have the Word app in there. So like there's all these apps you can download on your phone to be able to open these files that you have on your computer, which are smaller versions of the apps, okay? So it's not the same full-on, full-featured Excel, but you can open an Excel file on your phone and do some basic stuff on it, okay? And you would find it in a folder called Files in your phone, in an app called Files in your phone, or in your iPad. But on the iPad, the Excel might be more full featured than it is on the phone, right? So you can actually have some pretty well functioning apps on an iPad. All right, so now all the organization that you're doing here, then for people who don't have their files connected to the cloud, then just lives in your computer. Okay, you cannot pick any of these files from your phone or from your iPad. Not that you necessarily would want to. The question is, how many of you really would want to pick up any of these phones, files from your phone? I personally probably wouldn't really. But the other day, for example, Emma was sending me a list of summer classes and stuff like that, and I wasn't home and I had to approve them. So I opened them on Excel on my phone just to view them and give her an answer. So by the way, Julie, the answer is no. Right now, the Mac classes are not on this in there yet. They need to approve it, but we're working with it. Okay. So if you do want to,
Diana,
yeah.
excuse me, when you said open your iPhone and look for the files, where do we find the files in the iPhone?
It's an app called Files. So if you do a search,
But I don't, so maybe I don't have that then. That's okay. No problem. I don't look at my files in my iPhone anyway. But
yeah, so let me share really quickly my phone with you guys. phone or iPad. If you don't know how to find an app, if I look over here, I don't see anything called files, but if I I'm pushing down with my finger in the middle. I'm going to the search, right there. So look, when you push you just put your finger somewhere in the middle and drag down, then a search shows up. So I'm going to write files, and there it is. That's the Files app. If I click on that, Files app, then it's showing me my recents, in fact. But if I go down to browse down here, it's showing me my desktop and my documents files, desktop. And
Oh,
if you
wow.
can see, these are the same files that I have on my desktop or documents. And here's showing me all the files that I have in my computer. And right now I haven't organized them yet, but once I have them organized, it'll be easier to find. See, right now, even in my computer, if I look at my files are a mess, but I have classes, designs, and then I have stuff. So what we're going to do today is keep organizing this. So when you're done with that, you could have a neat little set of folders. Now, as I said before, can you open it? Like, does it make any difference? Some things, yeah, PDFs you can open, things you can open. Can you actually do something with it? Well, it depends. If you have the Word app, then you can. If you have the Excel app, then you can. So here's an Excel file, for example, right? Notice that it has a little cloud icon there, which means that it's on the cloud. So if I were to click on this, it downloads first. It just downloaded and now it's opening up. So now I kind of am seeing my Excel file on my computer, which, I mean, I've seen it on the phone, but it was on my computer, but since it lived in the cloud, I'm able to see it. See how here it says iCloud Drive? So that's where files takes you to the iCloud Drive. Okay, so I'm not necessarily gonna, I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm not necessarily gonna teach you that, more than enough trying to figure out how to teach you the basics of how to organize my computer, but I'm just showing you that if your stuff is connected through the cloud, your stuff is available on your iPad and your computer. Okay, so this stuff that we're going to be doing here in our computer now is pretty crucial, because in here, you saw how I had been able to modify them and put my folders on top because I had just made them and other stuff there, but you saw how on the phone they appeared all messed up. So what I'm going to do right here now, everyone go to your documents, no matter if it's in the cloud or if it's not in the cloud. By now, hopefully you've brought all your stuff to documents from wherever in the world you had them. And many of you did, and many of you are like, okay, I'm just going to do a little bit of the work here and watch. And that's fine. So if I tell you to share your screen and your documents is full of stuff, but your downloads is still full of stuff, or your desktop is still full of stuff, don't worry. I understand it takes sometimes a little bit of, getting accustomed to seeing things differently. So I get it. Don't feel like you don't want to share with me. All right. So documents folder. I made the other day a bunch of folders, but they're all empty. Now, I want to organize these things by list view. So if you're still looking at these things by icon view, this is kind of how you saw them show up in the phone. It's harder. And if you see everything in the list view, then at least we'll be on having the same conversation. So again, click on documents, don't click on anything in particular. And then here, let's go by name. Click on name. And as you can see, when you click on name, it starts with files that have numbers in front from 0 to 9, right? So smallest numbers to the biggest numbers. And then it starts with the A, and then the C, and then the C. So it doesn't matter if it's a folder or a file. And then it goes to D, E, F, G, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so now, and at the very end, we have Zoom. So now it's all organized by alphabetical order. Yeah. Now, alphabetical order might or not be the best way for you to organize things, but at least there's some sense to it. And if say that you need to put things in classes, you can always go up and see the classes folder. So I'm going to look at this and go, this is the file called macOS versions, upgrade Catalina is short. Yeah, this definitely is a folder that belongs in classes. It's a file that belongs in the classes folder. Okay, so I'm going to grab it and I'm going to drag it, and I'm not going to let go until classes right there turns blue. Now, if I wait too long, which is what I did, then I've shifted to my classes folder. Let me back up, backwards here, and then back to where I was before. This here has a little tiny triangle on the side. If I open it, I can see what's inside. And I have all of this stuff is inside of my classes folder. I have a folder called Mac class, a folder called Photoshop class, and there's some loose stuff. So then I can say, oh, Mac goes into the Mac class. So I can drag it and put it inside of that folder, which is a subfolder of classes. So now if I open Mac class, I have how to download iCloud, Mac versions, screenshot, which I would never, we shouldn't leave screenshots named screenshots. You should look at what it is. I'm going to hit the space bar. Oh, that's a sample of my cloud apps. And so then I could right click, rename, and then call this one screenshot of cloud apps, right? So you explain what it is. Pipeline iCloud apps. That's what that one was. And then hit return. So now it makes more sense to me what that is. You can also just click one more time on it and just wait a little bit without double clicking. And then that also allows me to change its name. And if I made any typos or something like that, and then I hit return. So you can either right click to rename and it brightens up and you click on there to rename, or you can click on a file one time and then click on it again. So it's not a double click. A double click would open it. It's selected and then one more click and then the name comes bright. Now, this happens so easily that a lot of the times this happens by mistake and you were just trying to look at it and you ended up doing this. So the way to get out of that is just click somewhere else. Okay. And so now that's what's in that folder. So do you see this level here? Let me make this, see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you guys. So I made it a bit bigger now, so hopefully it's a bit easier to understand. So this is an expanded folder. If I click on this arrow, it's collapsed. So whatever is inside of classes, I don't see. If I click on this little arrow, it collapses. And I see that there's 2 folders and 1 file. So see how we've moved in one little level? So this is inside of that. So if I want to see what's inside of this, I click on this little arrow. Oh, and there it is. This is what's inside of that. It's like I'm opening drawers. This is the big old filing cabinet. When I open that drawer, I see inside of it another folder, and I open that folder and oh, then I see another file. I see more stuff. And here in the world of computers, the name file means that final actual bit, the actual PDF about how to download clouds and videos. Or the
Deanna,
actual chop.
can you go over how to drag that again? Because
Yeah, we're gonna do a
please.
lot of that. Mhm. But here I have, one second. When you've made these big folders, you can have them all really closed and not look into them, right? So this is the classes file, and I get here to crop and straighten flower table. It's a Photoshop file. I know it belongs to my classes. I can just grab it and just drag it up until, see, when I see the classes getting darker, I let go. That works. Or I'm going to undo that. If I see when it gets darker and I hold there for a bit, boom, then I go into that folder and I can still let go. But see, I moved into my classes folder. It's like it goes, and it opens it up if you keep holding. If I back up, so it's a little bit confusing, but that's because you hang on there for a little bit. And now my Photoshop is in my classes folder, which is fine. But guess what? It could be even further inside of the Photoshop actual class. So I can grab it and move it in there again. So now it's truly where it should be. It's in the Photoshop class, and then these files are in the Mac class, and that's my classes folder. I can close this up with the other ones are still open like that, right? Or I can close them individually and then close that one. It depends on how organized you want to be. Okay. Now, depends if I'm organizing stuff or not, if I want things open, but say that now I go and find here, this is download iCloud photos and videos. So this is also about a Mac class. So I can just drag it all the way there. And if I let go quickly, it just drops in there. That's the part that's kind of weird. But if I take it there and I hold on, then it takes me to that folder, right? And then I can say, well, this is for the Mac, so I can put it into the Mac folder. So you got to, you won't understand this until you do it, the whole dragging and how long you can hold before it kind of opens up and how much you can just take it and drop it.
Deanna,
Mhm.
if I find something that's way down the list, like
Mhm.
in the W's or something, but I want
Yeah.
it to go into a file that's way up at the top.
Yeah, yeah,
How
so say
add
that this is something that has to go into my Photoshop folder, which by the way is way up here. Right? And it's way down here, and it can be even further. Well, you grab it, you drag it to the top, and you kind of put your mouse in this area, like kind of up there, and it scrolls up. If you put it in this area before I let go, it scrolls down. Over here, it scrolls up. And if you go up a bit higher, it goes faster. And then when I get here to classes, I drop it right there. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, it takes a little bit of doing. Or plan B, if you're good at your mouse, that's fine. If not, there is a plan B. And now I'm going to show you what plan B is.
Okay.
First, I want some people to do the basics, but plan B. If you guys look over here and see a plus sign, that's good. If you don't, then you need to turn this on. So I'm going to share my entire desktop now. So here's my entire desktop. And let me first show you what my plan B is, and then I'll show you how to turn it on. There's two ways to do this. If you have this turned on, if not, I'll show you this in a minute. Let me just show you. I can click on this plus sign and open a new tab. So now here in documents, I can be seeing documents, and here I can go to my documents and to my classes and open up my classes. So now here I have documents, and here I have opened up one of these folders. So I can go over here to documents and go, let me see, how to look up your password. That is definitely something that belongs in my classes. But say the classes is too far, I can just go drop it in here and drop it in there. That's one way. Plan C is to open a new Finder window. So now you have two Finder windows, right? And so this might be the easiest one. So over here, I'll make my Finder windows a little bit smaller. And here, what I do is I open up my classes folder. And here, this is my documents folder, and I just drag it there. Ding. I didn't mean to expand this. Just wanted to drag it. So then this goes in my classes folder. I just drag it over there. This goes in my classes folder. I just drag it over there. So for good organization, it's a good idea to have a second window when you're finding a lot of files. So if there's only one thing I'm going to put in designs, it's fine. I'll just drag it. So that's fine. But if I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff, then I open a whole window. So this is two Finder windows. And in this Finder window, I look for the folder in my documents, in my classes. I double click, I open that, and I'm ready to drop a bunch of stuff in this classes. So then I start looking. Raw file formats, that goes in my classes. I drop it in there. And how about third SBCC logo? No. How about this screenshot? Yeah, that is part of my classes. I move it over there. So I keep finding all the stuff that belongs over there. When I'm done, I go, okay, now I want to put a lot of stuff in finances. So I go here and I go, let me open up finances. Okay, so now I have my finances over here. All right, so now I'm gonna go over here and go, okay, this belongs in my finances. I drag it over there. And the data generator belongs finances. I drag it over there. Does that make sense, you guys?
Mhm.
Quarterly sales results. I drag it over there because it's part of my finances.
I was having
Okay.
trouble dragging. It wouldn't drag, it wouldn't drop anywhere. You would just hold
So
on to it.
now a lot of this is a matter of just doing to learn how to do it. So I'm going to stop my share. And what I'd like is for you, for example, to share your screen, and then I will help you get it, like do the movements of how to drag it. Okay, so can
Yeah.
you share your screen?
Oh, no, I know how to drag it, but it wasn't working.
Well, do
Oh.
you don't want to share your screen for us to test and see?
No, because I don't know where it is, so I'll try it again later.
Catherine, you're having trouble dragging. Do you want to share your screen? I'm sure a lot of people are having trouble dragging. It is not just Dorothy. It is tons of you guys. So please,
Okay, let me get my Finder
Yeah.
window up so I can.
no, because you're going to need two Finder windows. So don't share your Finder window, share your desktop. Because then we
Okay,
can move around
Oh,
with opening
okay.
different
All right.
Finder windows.
okay, opening my desktop. And I'm going to share my screen right now. Share. Oh, what do you- I got so much stuff open.
That's fine. So
Lord.
go click on that and yeah, get rid of that. Mhm. You're
Okay,
going to have to take my next class. I'm going to teach you how that does not close your apps, but yeah.
okay.
All
all right. So
right.
there's my desktop. Are you seeing it?
Yeah. So now move it over more because you have it so wide. You know, you have the name part so
Right,
wide.
yeah, let me do
So
that
click and
again.
drag it over
I know
and-
that you showed us how to do that, so I had done it. Okay,
Yeah,
here we
there
go.
you And now grab the end of that window and bring it in because it's really long.
Oh,
So
okay, I gotcha.
The far
Uh,
right, the far right.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, I'm just trying to get out of, I selected something. Can I still just, I want to move
Yeah,
the,
yeah, no, go to
oh,
the, yeah. doesn't
here,
matter.
oh, I gotcha.
And just pull it
okay.
in. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Oh, sorry.
You don't need all that extra space. You don't need any.
I know, sorry, I'm moving. Okay, there we
That's
go.
fine.
All right. Okay, now you want to see my document.
The reason I want it even thinner is because I want to put two windows at a
Do you
time.
want it even smaller?
Yeah, okay.
There.
And what
Okay.
you, what
Want me
what
to
you
move
can
the
do,
the size over or something?
well, what you can do is you can move over the name so that we see all the names. So right there where you had made the name smaller and between data modified, put your mouse there again. Up at the top, go
Oh.
right there, yeah, and then go put it until you need to move it until it finds, it becomes a bar. Move your mouse a bit more.
Ah,
Yeah.
There we
Yeah,
go.
and now click and drag it to
Oh,
the right.
oh,
No, to the right. I want you to see all the names. 'cause
Oh,
the names-
gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
You make
Okay,
it the size you need. Okay.
okay.
Like
And it
date
doesn't matter
modified, they
what
like
size.
date modified is huge right now, right? So you
Yeah.
can make the date modified much smaller, for example.
Okay,
So you just need to know, you guys, that you can move that around, like, right, move it, actually move it a teensy bit bigger for a second.
should I go back to desktop then?
Yeah, wherever you were.
Okay,
So go over and make it a little bit bigger. Those things that you have on top, date modified, size, all that,
yes.
they are there if you need them. If you don't need them, you don't need to see them, but you can also
Okay.
make them smaller. So go for a second to that little bar that's in between date modified and size.
Hmm.
Now move it to the left and see how the dates become smaller. So they take up less space and bigger. So here it says November 5th, 2021. Now it says 11/5/21. Now you move to the left.
Oh,
Keep moving to the left, keep moving to the left. Now it just says 1/5/21. So you can kind of modify how big or how small you
Wow.
want that. If all
that's-
you care about is the date, this is good enough. You don't need the time. If on the other hand, you want to see if which was the newer or older one that you made today, then you need the time, then you make it bigger, right? So I'm
Great.
just trying to get you guys to know how you can move these around to your heart's content
Wow.
until it fits your needs. All right.
Okay,
Now, the last thing, if you really care about the file size for some reason more than the date modified, then you can drag the size and make it appear in front of date modified. No, not like that, not like that. Grab the mouse, go with the word size, and now click and drag it and drop it. There you go. And now you've managed to shift that. So everything is modifiable. Say that, that you cared about file size more than dates, for example.
wow.
And then you can make the window smaller and just look at file size. So anyway, just trying to show you that versatility.
Great.
Okay, that's all I wanted to show everyone. Hopefully you play around with yours. Okay, so now desktop you're viewing as list, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I create another Finder window for my documents so I can actually drag and you can show me how to drag and drop.
Yeah, so if you want to do that, let's open, make a new, not from there. If you try to make a new one from there, it says it's already open. You need to go all the way to the file and say new file window. Up at the top, file,
Oh,
new
new-
Finder window. Now
oh,
it gives you two of the same.
okay, great. And then
Now
I'm
you
gonna
move
open
this
my
one.
docs. Oh, sorry,
Mhm.
move it
Yeah.
over.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Well, do I need this anymore? This other one? Because I need the desktop so you can see it.
Well, if you're moving things from your desktop to your documents, is that what you mean?
No, you told me to
Yeah,
open
yeah.
up
But so
desktop
now
so you could see it.
No. What I wanted you is when you were trying to share, I didn't want you to share only one little Finder window. I wanted you to share your entire desktop like you're doing so that we could see
Okay.
two different Finder windows. So now, where are you moving things from to where are you moving things from?
I'm moving them
One-
all within my documents
Okay.
folder.
So you can either drag them up and down, or you can use two windows to make the transfer easier. So
Gotcha.
on the left side, you can go to documents, for example, on the left window, the one that says desktop right now.
Yeah. Oh, I
Go
see.
to documents.
Okay, I get you. There we go. Okay.
Okay. And then on the right-hand one,
Mhm.
you're also in documents. So you're in documents in both of them. You guys see
Right.
that? Make it bigger. You don't have any reason for it to be so tiny. Make it the bottom bigger. Like when you're working with files, organizing files. So
Do
go
I
to the,
grab
bo-
it somewhere?
yeah, from the bottom, right before it ends. Yeah, keep going down. No, keep going down, down. There.
Oh, and then it comes
Put
up.
the tip there. and
All
then
right.
Make it bigger.
Yeah, gotcha.
Same with the one on the right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Go to the one on
Sorry.
the right and put your mouse right at the bottommost tip where you know that's moving it. You need to, there.
Yeah.
Now you drag it. Cool.
Gotcha.
All right. So now say that you're going to look for all the files that go into whatever, choose a folder.
Okay, I have just some other ones that have not been placed certain place. What I was trying to do is move, they're in alpha order, move some things to accountability that got.
Okay. All right. If so, now double click. Wait, what did you do? Go
I
to
was just trying to
accountability.
get where I wanted to be.
Go to,
up
okay,
top.
so stop. There's accountability. You move things into accountability, right? So
I want to
double
move
click,
these.
double,
I'm listening.
if they're right next to it, that's fine. It's easy to do it this way, but you might find things that need to be in accountability that are far from here. So just to practice, go to the right one, the right-handed one,
Mhm.
double click accountability. Good. So now you have the accountability window open on the left, on the right, sorry. And on the left, you have all the stuff. So go find the files that you want to put in that one.
Except for it isn't. Yeah, that's my error. I have, I want to get them the same so we know what we're seeing.
Yeah, you have them in a different zoom. You have this one zoomed up really big, and so it's kind of
So if I
proportionally
double
showing them.
click this, oh, wait a minute. You said double click it and it'll make it.
Then you see the
small.
exact same thing, yeah. But then you
You
don't
know,
have the
and it's
files that you
under
need to
this
move into.
heading. I get it. So this.
Go
club
back.
page- Okay.
So now go backwards. Up at the top, where this kind of go backwards and go find the stuff that's missing that should be in here that's not.
I want to pull
Like-
like this up or this over.
Yeah,
It-
so you can either move it up or you can move it to the right, either way.
These are in the club change folder and I don't want them there. I want them up above. So how do
So-
I?
No,
select-
those are not in the club change folder. The only thing in the club change folder is club change. That's the only thing in the club change folder.
Oh, why is it?
You can see it
coming-
on the far right. Look at it in the far right. You can see that there's only one thing inside of club change. The rest are inside of accountability.
Okay, that's what was throwing me. All right, well, just show me how to drop and drag. And so I want to Are you saying they are where I want them to be? Gotcha. Okay. So
It's
it's
just that
this,
club change in this case is showing up as a C. Right, on the left side, you have it showing up first, second, third, A, and then C for club change and
Yeah.
then weekly. So it looks, but it is further in.
can I just drag the club change folder down where it comes after in alpha order? I don't know why it's not appearing in alpha order like the rest. That was.
You
what
have
I
to
was
take it
talking
out of accountability.
about. Okay.
You have to take it out of accountability. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, I want club change to show somewhere in this list as a folder.
Okay, so then you need to take it out of accountability. So
Right.
it's easier to go grab the club change from the right side,
Right.
right? Grab that folder.
And that's where I don't know how to grab that folder. That's what I
Click
need.
and
to-
hold, yeah, and then just drag it. Okay,
Clicked it too long.
so do you have a mouse or do you have a?
I have a trackpad.
Okay, that's why it's a little bit harder to do the dragging.
Okay.
If with a trackpad to do the dragging, what you need to do is you need to use maybe use two hands in your fingers. So click on it with one and then with the other finger, drag it. No, but don't click it. You're clicking so hard that you're changing
Yeah.
the name. Just select it. Yeah, with one finger. And now with your other finger, put your mouse, like use your other finger now. Do you have two hands?
Yeah, I've got two hands on my
Okay.
trackpad.
So now with one finger, start moving it. Start dragging. See, there it is. It's dragging.
Shoot. it
And
went
now
the
you
other
can't let
window.
it go until drag it just into documents because what you're
Yeah.
asking is to move it out of the folder.
My window moved. Okay.
Well, you need to put it into, when you try to take something out, it's a bit harder than in. You're showing the one thing we're demoing is the hardest thing, which is to take out. So grab it from there and just drop it right there on the sidebar next to it into the Word documents because you're trying to put it into documents. So
I get you. Oh,
no,
okay.
you're right clicking, so it's a gentle touch.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
you're right clicking. So that's, go to the name, don't go to the little arrow. Now with gentle finger on the other one, start dragging and it'll come with you. You select it with one finger. You had done it before. You select it with one
Yeah,
finger.
I know. I'm
Don't go to
trying-
the arrows. Move out of the arrow. Move back into the, yeah. Move back. Yeah, perfect. And now drop it into documents.
Documents
higher up.
here.
Yep. mhm.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Now
Okay.
it's outside of
So-
accountability and now it's inside the general
Thank you.
ABC.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you so much. So it was the trackpad. I need to do two finger trackpad.
Yeah, the trackpad is not as easy to do drags as it is with a mouse. So if
I have a
you're
mouse.
the mouse is
so-
much easier to use than the trackpad for a lot of people. So if you're having trouble with your trackpad, go running to buy a mouse. Any mouse,
have-
$9
I
mouse
have
is
one.
better.
I have one that came with my
I'm
computer.
talking to the class now, Catherine.
Okay.
To everyone who the trackpad tends to be harder to use than a mouse. So if you're accustomed to the trackpad and it works really well for you, go for it. But it tends to be much harder and everything takes double the time. So if you want to be much more handy with your stuff, go buy a mouse, which you can connect to your laptop or your desktop. And it doesn't need to be the magic mouse, the Mac, $100 mouse or whatever it costs. I think it's 75. It can be any mouse. And then I had her do the two windows thinking she wanted to move things out, but she actually wanted to move out. So in the end, we only used one window, but different systems for how to do the same thing. All right, so I'm going to
Thank
stop your
you.
sharing now.
Thank you.
Anyone else who's, hopefully you guys, instead of just watching, you've been moving things into folders, or you might need to still be creating folders or putting folders inside of folders. Since you might not know how to do any of this comfortably, I'm going to go ahead and lead you into a couple of these. So it would be much easier for me to show you. Here I had expanded so you guys could see a bit better. But let me share my screen now. Hi, Justine. So I'm sharing my entire screen right now that has the two finder windows here. And again, for some people, I had never shown the whole two finder windows. And last time I showed it, some people were like, oh my God, that's been like, I wish it had been the thing you showed me years ago. Da, 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 da. So I'm showing it to you because if you're advanced enough, you'd see how much easier this is. But for people for whom this whole thing is new, then maybe 2 Finder windows might be a bit too daunting. So I'm gonna turn it off right now and just keep using 1. Depends on what's easiest to you. So say that something that I wanted to show you guys, where do I have it? Let me see. Did it in here? No. So let's assume that we have here's the chicken stock. I was looking for it. I thought I had someplace to assume, but I do have one. I have chicken stock. And I put it inside of recipes right there. And I like, oh, it went in. So you need to see that little kind of in version. And then I have, don't I have any other recipes? I left my recipes somewhere else. Let's say that farm to table belongs to recipes for some reason. I'm going to drag it into recipes. There you go. These are mask, remember at the beginning of the pandemic that we had to make our own masks. So this is a PDF that's called mask. But then I have Jessie mask 2 and 3. So if you ever find that you have a name that says 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they are very possibly exact copies of the same thing. If you want to check, you can hit the space bar and look at it. Oh, it's a PDF, so it won't. Like you can just open them up. I'm going to double click and open it up and look at it, and it's going to open up, and it's a whole bunch of like, you know, it's how to make masks to size. So I look at it and go, okay, I know what that is. And then I open the second one and the third one, and oh, it's the same thing. And I do this, it's the same thing, right? So be careful, because when these things have those little numbers, they are the same thing that you managed to copy 2 or 3 times. I think we did this at the very beginning when we were looking at applications and stuff, but this is the same thing. So you don't want those 2. So I'm going to select those 2, right click, move the 2 to trash, and just leave the 1. Now, if you're not going to make your mask ever again, throw that one away too. But if per chance you're going to make one at some point, then put it somewhere. So this one I'll just throw into personal. Okay. Here I have some family files. I'm going to go ahead and put that one into personal, and so on and so forth. My goal when I'm done with all of this is to have everything in a folder or another. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this extra tab that I created here to show you something. I am showing you now this list view. For some of you guys, that's, I like the list view the most. But for some of you guys, it's hard to tell, like was happening with Catherine a minute ago. It was hard to tell if something was inside or outside. She wasn't aware that, you know, what was happening with that file that she wanted to get out of accountability. Sometimes it's hard to read whether something is inside or outside. So one view that some people find easier to view things at, and for teaching, I used to use it a lot, was the as columns. So let's go to as columns, and let me show you the difference. And if you can then choose if you prefer as list or as columns, but up to view, go as columns. Now, why as columns is good, click here on documents, make sure nothing else is selected. So watch. If I go to classes, here I can easily tell that this is not in my folder, not in folders, this is a folder, this is not a folder. When I go into classes, instead of opening up as a drop-down, it opens up into a column. This is the stuff that's inside of classes. When I click on designs, this is what's inside of designs. Oh, another folder. When I click on finances, this is what's inside of finances. Click on France, oops, there's nothing there. Click on personal, that's what's in personal. Let's go back to classes. If I go to classes, I have another folder here. I click on Mac class. Oh, well, look, that's what's inside of Mac class. So it's kind of a bit easier for some people to visualize that this is inside of this and this is inside of that. So if you like this version better than this version, where what I'm doing here, that's my, I need to give you a break time. So in this view, I'm sorry, as list, what I'm seeing here is that classes, when I open it up, this is inside of it, and this is what's inside of the
Mm.
folder. So I kind of like this mode myself. But I do find that many times columns makes it clearer by clicking on this, that this is, instead of dropping down, this is what's inside of it. And this is what's inside of that. So now I'm going to say, I can make this column a little bit bigger so I can see the names, and I can go, oh, this is also a Photoshop file. So I click in Photoshop. I have some Photoshop stuff there. The only thing with this view is that sometimes it scrolls back and forth, and so you need to be aware and have it big as you can. So that goes inside of Photoshop. So I watch in Photoshop class, I have only one thing. I'm going to grab this raw and drop it into Photoshop. Cool. Now it went into Photoshop. Now you can see that that raw that was out here in general classes is now in Photoshop. Then this is also supposed to go into Photoshop. So I'm going to put it in Photoshop. And now there it is. I have 3 files inside of Photoshop. Okay. So this is a loose file. This is my, oh, this is an Illustrator file, and I don't have a Mac class. So I can go in here and make a right click and make a new folder right in here. And I call this one Illustrator class.
Mm.
And now I can grab this guy and put it in Illustrator. And so now there it is. And so I keep organizing my files in this sense. Once again, if I go all the way to classes and view it this way, I'll go back to classes. I need to go all the way back to document. When you switch views, it becomes a bit harder. Then I can see that classes has 3 folders. This I just created and put Illustrator. This I have 3 files inside of Photoshop. This, a lot of stuff in the Mac class. And then the stuff that's loose is still kind of loose. It's easier in this mode to figure out, in column view, to figure out what's loose. This is clearly not inside of a folder. And this is clearly not inside of a folder. This belongs to classes. I'll put it in there. So I find sometimes when I give options to make things clear, for some people it becomes less clear. But again, try to keep finding stuff and dropping them where you want. And the more you create, the easier it'll be, because the goal is that at some point you won't have 200 things here to go up and down. You will end up, and this is the goal, that inside of the documents folder, you might end up with only 10 folders. At first, you need to go up and down to bring things in. But if the folders are general enough, under personal, I have things that are totally different. So, but for now, it's good enough. Santi's 3rd birthday goes into personal for now. And the Santa Barbara logo goes into classes, City College logo, and the conference is it's a work conference, so it goes into classes. So put them in general things, and then you go into classes and start going, oh, well, this should be administrative and this should be whatever. So create more folders inside of it. But the general folders should hold just the big stuff so that you pare down. So if I click on these screenshots, these 3 screenshots are all about work, school. So I can grab 3 at a time and then take them all into classes. Then I'll decide what class they belong in, right? So Kitty, oh, that goes into Photoshop. So it goes into classes, et cetera, et cetera. So if you keep moving things like that, see how slowly I'm being left only with folders, and I can, like, Smiley goes into, I don't know, personal. You know, security awareness goes into personal. So start finding a way to put all your stuff. So this is for Photoshop. So I'm not putting it in Photoshop. I'm just putting it in classes. But I'm trying to minimize all the mess for the, 300 files I started with, and trying to find a way to put it into the main folders. So Yosemite is travel. So I'm going to grab Yosemite and put it into travel. Taxes is finances. So then I can put taxes instead of finances. France is travel. So I'll put it into travel. And you slowly start bringing it in. Maybe you want to consider medical personal, or maybe you have, so if you only have 1 time or 2 that you put things in medical, then that's fine. But if you have a lot, then leave it as a separate folder. For me, fortunately, crossing all fingers, it's not such a big deal yet. So I'm going to put it under personal and have it be a folder under that. Recipes If you're a big cook with a ton of recipes, make it its own place. But if you only save a recipe here and there, put it under personal. You know what I mean? So you kind of bring it down, bring it down, bring it down until you have everything in a couple of
Diana, I have
here's
a
another
question.
mask. And the idea is, one second, to clean up all that loose stuff, clean up all that loose stuff, clean up all that loose stuff. One more example. And I haven't talked about zip files yet, which someone asked me the first day. So I'm going to do that. That goes into designs. My goal is you get to this place where you have nothing less, and then you might still find some DMGs or stuff that shouldn't be there because they were installer files. And so you remove them and stuff like that. And so by the time you're done, you're left with only folders. So this was kind of the whole process. Now, by the time I get to, so there you go. So now Funky Guitar goes in examples, and this is an example. Cool. So here was that documents folder that was really full of junk. And now I go, okay, let me go organize my personal files. Click on there. All right, maybe I have to make some more folders in there, or let me go to classes. Maybe I need to keep organizing that. But I don't have like 200 photo files next to all the class files and 200 stuff next to the personal. Does that make sense, you guys? My goal is that your documents folder should have only a few of these. And I always recommend one folder called miscellaneous, where it just isn't any of those things. So you put it in miscellaneous. And when you have 5 things in miscellaneous, you're fine. When you have 200 things in miscellaneous, you better start figuring out if those can go into something, right? And that keeps your documents folder really nicely organized. All right, so that was a whole demo. I'll take some questions, then we'll go to break, and then we'll come back. So Patricia, your hand has been up.
Yes, so, and ideally, we're supposed to have only 2 folders, 2 general folders, one for school and one for personal.
So where are you supposed to have only 2 folders?
Only for general? Well, just only 2, and then
In documents,
in
you have only
documents.
2
In
folders.
documents, yeah.
Sure.
We're
Yeah,
supposed to. We end up with 2 or 3 with miscellaneous.
you can, like, if you travel a lot, you can make its own, right? But if travel only happens now and then it can be under personal, right? You
Okay.
can bring it down. Finances can be personal,
There's-
right? And then designs is work, and examples might be design examples. So you can make it as small as you want.
Okay.
But then that's because this examples were design examples, and then in personal you have finances and medical and receipts and travel, right? So you can bring it down to almost nothing, or so for classes and designs could go well into work for me. So I could have one big folder called work, and and under work, I both work by being a designer, and I have my classes. So that's my work. So you could end up having this so reduced that documents, remember I had 300 files here, could end up being just a couple of folders, right? And then inside of work, when I want to go check out my classes, and or when I want to go and work with my designs. Okay, so I don't know if you need to go so small, so detailed, but as much as you want. So yeah, what you said is fine. And under miscellaneous would go anything that you can't really figure out where to put right now, put it in miscellaneous, and hopefully you end up with only a few files there now and then. And then when you accumulate 3 different recipes in miscellaneous, you go, maybe I should make a folder for recipes, right? And then you put that under somewhere else. If you subdivide to the point of so much subdivision, you don't want to make it hard for you to find your stuff. Whatever choice you do here, you want to make it easy. So if it's easy for me to not mix, maybe I just grab them and don't put the work one. And I move the work one to trash, and I just have classes and designs, which is well enough distinguished, right? Maybe in personal, I work with my finances a lot. So I just move it out, and I want to have it finances out, even though it's personal, because I want, so your choice. All right. Any questions? I know that there's a lot of more of the how are we doing this? So again, someone is saying in Monterey, you don't have the down arrows on the document on the list. So I think the down arrows aren't there, but there's something else. Someone with Monterey can share your screen, because yeah, I think I saw that it was different. I'm going to stop my share. Can someone with Monterey share their screen so that I can, there you go. So on the list view, you're in column view. So go back to view. Yeah, you were there. Whichever, go to the view. Yeah, there. And go back to list view. So go down to a folder, scroll down to a folder, because there, see, there it is. The files aren't in anything, so they don't have an arrow, but the folders do have a little arrow. That's Monterey, right? So Annette, are you seeing something different than that in your case, since you're the one who made that comment? I can't hear you if you're speaking. I don't know if you are speaking.
Yeah, there are no arrows on my list view.
Can you share your screen?
Okay.
I know you haven't done it for a while. If you need a hand,
Okay.
go down to the share screen button.
Share. Okay.
Perfect. All right. So you're in column view. That's why you're not seeing arrows.
Okay. I'll change
So
it.
you go
this.
to list view.
Yeah.
And now head over to all photos, like to one of the folders. Go to all photos, anything. And when you
Okay.
click on it, yeah, and on the left side, go put your mouse in that area where the arrow should be, to the left, and hover over that. So it's not showing you how to do the drop down, and that's the view, that's the list view. Is this happening to other people on Monterey?
I have Monterey, but I can see the arrows.
Huh.
Huh. Well,
So,
the column view is convenient. That's why I don't really need the arrows.
yeah, as long as you like the column view, which is what I taught in the past first, then go for it. You don't need it, but I'm surprised. I don't know why you don't have it, but if you
Can I
don't,
no way to put them on?
well, I'm sure I could look into it and figure out what's missing, but if you don't use the list view, that's fine. I could look around to try to find and see. Let me request remote control. Can you say yes to that? Okay, so don't move your mouse anymore. There is, I'm not seeing your, oh. There are your, oh, let me see the top. Hold on, it's just that I changed my view fit to window. Show view options. Icons shared by. Show icon preview. Let me see if I go into it. Now it's showing them.
Okay.
But when I go out to the main one, it's not, which is interesting. I don't like this main documents isn't, but if I go into it, then no, that one didn't. Which one had inside stuff? You had all photos. There you have arrows. So why
Right.
it's not showing for you in that first mode, I really don't know. That's weird. It should be there. And as you see, you have it in the others, but why not in the document? I wouldn't know what to say to why that's not showing there, Anne. Sorry, because none of these, it's not one of the normal. Text, yeah, I don't know why, but as you said, if you like column view, which I think I know you know your way around this very well, then that's good enough. So yeah.
What are the black boxes that appear for really old files that are no longer can be opened? They're little black exec. Sometimes it says EXEC.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna say, what are you talking about? CEXC. So the little preview icon on some stuff, if it says .exe, it's because that's a PC file. Just like whenever you see a package or a DMG, that means that it's an installer file for the Mac. A .exe, it's an installer file for the Mac for Windows computers. So it's useless on a Mac. So you can delete anything that's a .exe because it's old Windows computer access that will never be
I never
usable
had
on a
one. I
Mac.
never used Windows.
But you might have transferred stuff, or like when
Oh,
you
I
had things
see.
scanned in
I
by,
see, yeah.
photos, or just someone else sent in an exe to you. Yeah. So, by the way, let me just say one more thing. In this column view, see how she's sharing here? In the column view, if something is just a loose file, then that's it. But when it's a folder, you'll see that it has stuff in it. When it's got the little arrows are on this side, see? So
Right.
this arrow is pointing that there's something in there. Click in there, there's a folder in here, and this folder has a little arrow, and that means that if I click in there, I'll see more in here. And here's another folder that's entitled, and I click in there, then it's empty, but the folder there's nothing in it. But there is a folder available. Does that make sense? Okay, I just wanted to show you guys that. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of small, but. All right. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Annette, for sharing your screen. Yes,
You.
Dorothy? I do want to give someone's phone is ringing.
Mine
Please mute yourself.
Mine doesn't show the arrow either, and I have Monterey. But when I click on documents on the Finder
Mhm.
file, it doesn't show. It doesn't
Do you
show.
want to, if you can't share your screen, you want to
Yeah, I
share your
can.
screen? Okay, go for it.
Yeah, I think it's just normal.
By the way, Justine has her hand up, and you just raised your hand. So can you ask me your question, Justine?
Hi, I just wanted to see if you would have some time during break or after class to help me with an iCloud issue.
Yeah, I do need to eat something this break, but what's the issue?
Just that it, when I go to, sorry, I'm not being able to explain what I'm trying to say. You know, I switched over to iCloud, and so then when I
Yeah.
went to pay for, space on it,
Yeah.
it doesn't, it's like, it's just not going through. I'm not getting it. So it just keeps saying iCloud storage is full, and I haven't been successful in purchasing the extra space.
Okay.
The interface just is confusing to me. Like, it just doesn't seem to work.
Yeah. So let's do this. When I give a break, I'll give myself a shorter one or something and come and start with you. But then it's also something that maybe others can see too. I don't know. So
Okay,
might-
so
might
just
keep
whenever
going with
you
it.
have time to
Yeah.
do that. Thanks.
Also in Mac level 2, I'll be talking again about iCloud. So that's my alarm for the third time reminding me to give you guys a break. So I don't want to push the things. Let me finish with Dorothy's question now. Dorothy, yeah. So you were saying that you're
I
not
don't
seeing it.
have those little arrows either. No, but when I'm in Finder, in documents,
Mhm.
they don't show.
But when you
I don't
double
think
click
there's-
one,
I don't think they're supposed to show.
yeah, that's weird. But
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
double click inside of it, they're letting you see
They
it.
do show,
But
yeah.
that's bizarre because what if in here I want to see what I've got? This is such a weird way for list. This is uncomfortable to me because I like seeing my entire list and being able to see inside of it. I don't want to have to go into genealogy to see what's in it. I want to open it quickly and close it quickly. So if this is a change from Big Sur to Monterey, that's uncomfortable. I'm sure there's a way to recover them or not. I could do a research, but yeah, I see what you mean that you don't have them either. But that when you double click, you do see them. But so that's bizarre, but oh well, I guess that's how it is then. Anyone else with Monterey? Is it the same as what Annette and Dorothy are showing, or does anyone in Monterey have the arrows? I think someone said they had them. Because I can do a research. If someone has them, someone having some don't, then I can research and see why and have to turn them on. But if anyone in Monterey does not have them, then it's just Monterey. Does anyone else
do
have
have
Monterey?
them. I have
What?
Monterey, but I have them, I have the arrows.
You do have the arrows. So then
Yeah.
it's not about Monterey. It's more about how they're presenting. So I can do some research and find out about that. I don't know. Why Monterey? Let me see. Monterey, missing arrows in list view. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call for a break so that we can all clear our brains. And then when we come back, we'll continue. It's 2:29, so basically 2:30. So break until 2:40 p.m. Okay, see you guys in 10 minutes. Oh, I only wrote to Annette. I meant to write to everyone, but I wrote only to the last person who wrote to me. So let me put that in there again for everyone. Break until 2:40. All right, see you guys in 10. All right, I'm sorry, you guys took me an extra minute to get back. But I'm back and come on, everyone. To our computers. Sorry, it's Justine, I had this break occupied, but I can still try to give you a hand with that, or maybe stay after class a little bit, okay?
Or whichever is better for you, if you want to just do it.
Yeah, so let me see what else is coming up with the whole organization of files and stuff like that. So, questions from before. What if you want to have a copy of something in 2 different folders? Mimi was asking me, yeah, you can have a copy of something in 2 different folders. My only concern, well, Mimi is not here. Are you? I probably shouldn't answer a question. Oh, there you are. Yes, you are. I probably shouldn't answer a question if you're not here, but you are here. So, so the problem with having a copy of something in 2 different folders, and let me be clear, when I first started using computers years ago, I did do that. And you run into tons of issues later trying to figure out which is the right one. Because say that you have a copy of, again, let's go to chapter 7 of a novel you're writing, right? And then you keep writing, making corrections, editing. And then you look back and you go, oh, was it this one or was it that one? Which was the good one? And then you need to make a copy again. And then you have 3 copies. And then you go, wait, where's that? Which was the first one? And then somehow you end up deleting the one that had the edited because you didn't want 3. So really, it's not recommended to have 3 copies of the same thing unless you change the name and be very clear and say version 1, March 1st, version 2, March 2nd, and then you know that that is a copy, but that you've advanced on it, so it's not really a copy. It's more like versions of it. And then you go, I'm pretty good with version 5. I can delete versions 1 to 4, or no, I don't want to because maybe I left something behind in 1, but you keep them as separate documents. When you have the same file with the same name, you can't keep them in the same place. So you have to keep them in 2 different folders, as she suggested, but then you end up having a lot of issues with which is the right folder, the right file. You can do it, but I don't recommend it. What I do recommend, which is what I'm going to teach you next class, Math Level 2, is to do a backup of everything. So if you have only one chapter 9 that you're writing and you've made a backup, that backup is constantly automatically happening. You don't do it, and I'll teach you how to do it. Then say that you mess up and you suddenly deleted something, you can go back to that backup and retrieve it, what you had done before, right? So that's a safer way to do this. Having 2 copies of the same thing only becomes usually a pain. And if it's photos or videos or something, then it's a huge amount of space that you're wasting by having copies of it. So that's just an opinion though. Can you have 2 copies? Yeah, you can have 2. You have a question about Zoom at the end of documents. Yes, you might have noticed. I'm going to share my screen, but you guys might have noticed that at the end of when we say at the end, at the bottom, if you're doing alphabetical order, there's this thing called Zoom that you never made. It just is appearing there. I mean, I'm sure that you all see it if you've been on Zoom with me and you wonder, what is that? Well, when you are part of a meeting like this and there's a chat or something there, when you close it, it saves a recording. So if I go, it's saving something from each class that we just did, and it's saving, what it saves is the chat, at least for me, because I have mine set up to save automatically my chats. So if you guys don't have that setting, you might not have this. So this is the chat from yesterday's class, right? From not yesterday's, from 3, yeah, from today. It's an ongoing, it's still not done, so it'll keep saving, but this is the one from last week. Okay, and this is how the chat looks when it ends up being saved. And so this wasn't done by me. This is Zoom that creates these. At the end of every day, I can go to my chat, and that's where I say that it says, oh, hi, Catherine is here, but it says from Catherine, right? That's why I know that that hi was from Catherine, because the chat tells me from Catherine, hi, so then I can say who's here. So that's what's happening, and that's why that Zoom is there. It's a folder created by Zoom on my computer. So who has that Zoom folder there?
Me.
Some
I
of you
did, but
guys?
I deleted.
Yeah, you can
And I
delete it.
noticed-
You can
Yeah.
delete it, but next time you're on Zoom, it'll create a new one.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was just junk and I just deleted it. I thought, oh.
Well, it is. I mean, for most of you
know
guys,
I
it's
did.
junk. I mean, if you go back to it, what can you pick up from this? Not much. It's not that easy. That's why I'm saying if it's something important to you from the chat, copy it into a place where you'll read it. These are not very readable documents. I mean, literally, look how it goes. So if I put in a link that's important or something, it's better off if during class you copy that and put it somewhere than if you go back to the chat. So for 99% of you guys, other than for me, for attendance, this is good, but it's the only reason that it's useful. Does that make sense? So you guys don't need to keep these. And
Wow.
if you don't have a Zoom there, it's because when you set up in the settings, maybe you told it not to save. Then the settings, you can change it, I think, in a way to not give you that. But by the way, that whole folder takes up very little space. So it's not a big deal, but if you don't want it and don't need it, get rid of it. But the next time you're on Zoom, you'll find a new folder, but it'll only have the one date. You will have deleted all the other ones. Does that make sense? So, yeah. Now notice that I'm not seeing the sizes of these folders, and I have no idea which one's bigger or smaller. So something I like to turn on, and I'm going to move ahead and share my entire desktop with you. Something that I like to do is to turn on the size information for folders, because once you have everything in folders, the size doesn't appear automatically, and I can't tell which one's bigger or smaller. So if I go up to view, show view options, show view options, then when I let go, I get this long little window. Okay. And here you can make choices also that are longer term for what you want to view or not. So I'm going to move this over here a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. So you can say always open in list view, for example, and then it'll never change. Or if you happen to be in columns view, then you can leave it always open in columns view. So whatever view you're in, you can click on that, so that then it's a consistent way of opening, because otherwise sometimes it opens in one view, another view, you have to be changing the views, and it can get really confusing if you're accustomed to one. I recommend get comfy with one and stick to it, right? Like Annette today said, hey, I'm fine with column view. I don't need the other one. Fine. That's the way to go. Yolanda, if you don't have the Zoom, it's because in the settings of Zoom, you didn't ask it to save your chat. So that's fine. It's really a waste of space. It's not useful for anyone but for me, for attendance purposes. That's the only reason it's useful for me. But for you guys, it's not useful. So don't worry. If you don't have it, good for you. One less thing to get rid of. Okay. So then over here in the, some of you guys want to see text a little bit bigger, so you can click on that and see how it gets bigger. So you can change the size of your text or make it smaller or bigger. So this is actually a place to change the size. The default, I believe, is 13. Okay. I'll talk about that plus sign later. Mimi, give me a sec. So how I got here, I went to view, show view options.
Okay.
So next to the Finder view. So if you don't see Finder there, then click on the desktop somewhere or on your window, and then view, show view options. Okay. So then if I put it here, I don't know if you can see it better. Then here's where you choose if you want to see date, modified, size, and kind of the automatic ones that show up, but maybe you also want to see date last opened and then there it shows up. Or if you don't, you turn it off, or you want to see date added, or you turn it on. I mean, you could choose different things. For the most part, the ones that come are good enough. I don't care sometimes when it was created. I care more like when it was modified, because that means it's the latest version of it. Even if I made it in 2017, if I'm still using it because I open it, that matters more. But if you want to know when it was created, you can put date created, and then here you'd have date created and date modified, right? So just choices of what you can turn on. See how now I only have date modified because I turned it off. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's showing me in this view what I want. Now, size. It's giving me the column size, but see how it's not giving me a size for this folder? So if I go all the way down to calculate all sizes, turn that on, then it calculates the size of the folders. Otherwise, if this is off and I am looking at classes, it's giving me the size of the files, but not the size of the folder. So I know that this file is 98 KB, this one is 98 KB, but it doesn't tell me the size of the folder. But if I turn on calculate all sizes, then I see the sizes of the folders, which kind of helps me when all I'm seeing is let me just go back in here for a second. When all I'm seeing is the folders, it really helps me to see the sizes of the folders. Okay. Because then I can still see what's a bigger folder, what's a smaller folder. Oh, there's nothing in my miscellaneous. It tells me 0 bytes. Okay. So I like to have calculates all sizes. And then if you like these selections and these choices, you can just say use as defaults. You can click on that. And then by default, it's going to always show you all your windows that way. Now, one thing I like is to see, some people want to see the icon size a little bit bigger. And so you can click on that again. So smaller or bigger icon size. It occurs to me now that I'm teaching with this computer that I should probably have it set up in bigger, because it helps you guys see it better. And then maybe I can make this really big and then again use as default. So now this computer is always going to have much bigger sized windows. But if you only change it for this one and don't say use as defaults, then when you open another window, it'll go back to being small. Does that make sense? So click on use as default. So now if I go to desktop, calculate all sizes, this is disk view. So I guess it made me change it again. Every time I open the desktop window now. So let me see if I go back to documents, it's showing it big, and desktop is showing it big. So I had to, every time I show the documents now, it's going to do that. But I had to go and do it for the desktop. So if I go to downloads, it's back to being small. So I need to once again tell it to calculate all sizes and show it big. So you kind of have to do it once for each window and then use it so that each time you go there, then those show up big. That said, if I now go into classes and stuff like that, it'll still show small. So that's the default change settings for.
What is kind?
Kind is the type of file it is. So if I click on kind, it'll show me if it's a folder in this case, or if it's open, it'll show me that it's a GIF image or a PNG or a PDF. So that's what kind is. If I turn that off, then you don't know anything, but you see the extensions. I had already told you guys to turn on always the extensions. So then you see .gif, .png, so you don't need to see kind. But if you don't have those and you want to see kind, then it'll tell you what they are. I don't need to see kind because I see the extension of the file name and that tells me what kind it is.
What's versions?
Version, there is a way to set it up to see versions of stuff. It's a little bit like modified or something like that. There's a system where you can have versions of something. It's not set up in the basic setup, so it doesn't really mean much. But right now, this one is the same one. Let me see. Here I have this photo is from 10/24/12, but here, see how version is empty? It's something you need to set up. And so I don't believe you can. I don't have the right answer for you right now of what you would be seeing here. I don't have the versions feature turned on, so nothing is showing. But there is a system within which you can create versions of stuff. in which case it shows you there. So for example, I did have here somewhere, I think under miscellaneous, under personal, I had a software. I had I have it in my other computer where I have some versions, but I don't have it here in the sample. So yeah, I can't show that to you. It's for the most part, I doubt any of you guys would be using it much. So anyway, most of these things you don't need, which is why it's not worth, but I'm just showing you the one that I do always want is calculate all sizes. That's a really a good one that I want to always have. All right. That's it. That's what this little window is. There's other stuff, but I recommend not clicking on the rest of them. Now, did Vicky never show up? I'm such a pity. She's been asking recents all this time. And today I finally explained recents. So anyone who was not here for the beginning, I spent a lot of time talking about recents. So in case you want that. Okay, you've had a question, Patricia, what's that?
Yes, I have a DMG, which is the disk image. I don't
there
need
you go.
that.
Yeah, what is it, a disk image of what? What's the DMG of what? What's the name? Those are
Cloud. Creative Cloud from Adobe.
It's an
installer.
It's an installer. So if you already have the Creative Cloud Runner, you don't need the DMG anymore.
Okay, so I'm going to delete those.
Yeah. So before I go, okay, so before I go into showing you other stuff, there's a question about the tabs and that plus sign and stuff. How's it going with creating folders and moving things into it? Because that's really what I want to make sure that you guys get today. I want you guys to put stuff into folders to organize your files. And one thing in the other computers in the class, I could go behind you and see how you were doing, but it was always on fake computers, right? On stuff that was in class. What matters is your computers at home. How many of you guys now truly honest me are like, it's too much work, I don't want to do it, or I tried and I don't know how to do it, or it's really complicated, can you help me more? Like, I really want to be able to support you in doing this because it really does make a difference into you being comfortable with your stuff. So how many of you guys kind of gave up on this whole folder thing and don't want to put things into folders and don't want, because you need some more support from me, or if you just like, I'm just going to back off on that. Is there anyone here who needs more help with that? If I were to look at your computer right now, if you were to share your computer, would I see, I'm not going to say you organized all your 3,000 files yet, but would I see that you're on the process of creating some main basic folders? And if so, if you're in that process and you're working with it, then give me a yes, you're fine. And if you're not, and you're just kind of lost and this whole conversation is completely over your head and you're, then give me a no. Okay. That's kind of what I want to see if you're on your way. If you have 100 files, it's not that complicated. If you have 3,000, 10,000 files, it'll take quite a bit longer to get it all organized. Let me look at all your questions to see when I selected calculate size, it doesn't let me select the use as default. I don't think it has to do. Well, yeah, when you click calculate the size, it doesn't want you to do. It takes power, computer power to calculate all of that. So yeah, it doesn't want you to use as default. So whenever you have folders, you need to come here and turn it on to see, because it doesn't sometimes want you to automatically do that. Now it's let me. Yeah, it just takes, you know, notice when you have thousands of files, now I have so few, it did it quickly, but when you have thousands of files, when you say calculate all sizes, it sits here and it thinks and goes, and after a while it gives you the number because it's running through everything. So it kind of takes a bunch of time and it doesn't want to do it unnecessarily every time you look at your Finder to have to calculate everything. Yeah, so that's why it resists, but that's why you need to open and turn it on whenever you want it. So it's always there under the view or Command J if you're in a hurry. Or, and here's the thing too, for people, and this is just for more advanced people, so if you don't get it, don't get to, there's a shortcut called Command I, which I've taught you for the photo, people who are in the photo class. Command I is info, right? So if you do, if you select a folder, right, and you say Command I, it'll give you information about that. And then it'll give you the size of that folder and what's inside of it and stuff like that. And this is almost like beyond what most people need. I use the command I a ton, mainly because before that was one of the few ways you could ever find information about stuff. But if I want to find out how much, now there's bars and other stuff, but if you want to find out how, you know, how big your design folder is, you select and you do command I, which is the info. You can also go up to go info or window info, or there's something, there's always a way to see view info, and I don't know where in the menus it would be, but it's always under, in the Mac, the command I is always information about something, always. It's like I for info. Okay, now Irma is asking, how do you transfer information from email into documents? So next class in the Mac level 1, we're going to be doing email a lot. And in that case, I'm going to show you how to save your emails as documents. Okay, but I don't want to open email right now because that alone is going to take a whole lot of prep and explanation. But yeah, there's a way to turn an email into a document. Right now, emails are not documents. They're not a file that's savable. You have to open your email and go all the way down to where you got it to read it, right? So, but there's a way, if something is really important, not the attachments that you can download as files, but the email itself, if you want to save it as a document, you have to save from your email program. Okay, I'll show you that next time. So when we're talking about email next class, Irma, ask me that same question. All right. Now, Mimi's been asking about that plus sign that I showed you really quickly, and then I didn't show again. So yeah, it kind of was left a bit like, what is she talking about? And I showed you this little plus sign. So some of you have it, some of you don't. When I told you guys originally to view status bar and all that, some of you guys clicked on show tab bar. And if you did not show all tabs, not that, but the right underneath that you had status bar and path bar, and then you had show tab bar. If it says hide tab bar, then you have it like me. But if it still says show tab bar, then click on it so that it turns this little plus sign on. Now, most of you guys, everyone gave me a big green, like you're working on your files, okay? Except for Irma and Paul, most of you said yes, that you are working on organizing your files. So if someone got stopped there and wasn't, I'm clearing your feedback, and you still need help, please keep asking for help. I'm happy to do that. But other than that, I'm moving on, assuming that you're getting to this final goal of organized documents folder. Now, I really want to reiterate why, when you do this, before I go into this tab, first, just turn that one on, but I want to reiterate, when you do this, that you put your documents folder down to maybe 10 big folders or 5 big folders or 2 big folders or however many you want. Then there's a lot of stuff inside of them, right? So then when you open a folder, and if you guys don't have this, I should stop showing this. I should just double click to go into this and then you see it. So when you go inside of it, you might find that there's folders within folders. So maybe inside of Mac class, I'm going to double click Mac class again, and maybe in here I'll have a folder for Mac level 1, Mac level 1. And then I'll have another folder. I'm just giving an example for Mac level 2. And then I might have another folder for iLife. And I might have another folder for intro to Mac, right? So these are the 4 Mac classes that I teach. So maybe this one, and I'm inventing, right, goes into that one. And actually, for sure, that one goes into iLife. And then this one maybe this one goes into intro to Mac, et cetera, right? And into this one goes in there. So maybe I've organized this thing to death. So if I go in here, I'll see that my Mac class has iLife and intro to Mac level 1, you know, different like folders within folders within folders. Okay, so now back to closed computer, and I'm opening up my computer, and if what I'm working is on class curriculum, and I have to access that Mac folder for level 2 all the time, well, I can open the Finder, go to Documents, go to Classes, double click on that, go to Mac, double click on that, and then go to Mac level 2, which isn't hard now that I have it all organized. That's exactly what I need, right? But if I'm avidly working on this, like I'm really working hard on this curriculum, I need to access it for the next, week, every day of the week, that's when I can do what I told you last week, either drag it down here, put the Mac level 2 folder right down there, or I can grab it and put it here under favorites and drag it into favorites and just right there. So now I come back to my computer, time to work on Mac level 2, and I can just go, oh, here are all my files for Mac level 2. And it's just really quick. I work on them. Or I can just say, oh, I got to go here, Mac level 2. And I do that. So I actually do this. I have like 10 different curriculum materials for all the different classes that I find, but I don't teach all those classes every semester. So every time I teach a class that semester, I put it in here, right? And so I have a folder for the Mac classes with Photoshop for InDesign. So when they're actively being taught, I'll click in there. When I'm not, because maybe this semester I'm not teaching Mac, I just get rid of that little icon. Because now, whenever I do want to go, I just know that it's still in there under classes, under Mac, whatever there it is, I can reach it, but I don't need it quickly accessible. So I just get rid of it from here or from there. And I put instead the next thing I'm doing. Maybe I've got a client that I'm working with, and that client is asking me for something that I'm working. So I'm working on the brochure. So I put it in there. So this is a quick access to stuff, as much as this is that same quick access. This is where I talked to you before. So wherever you prefer, if you don't want to be opening your window, then this is the quickest access to it. Boom, you have the stuff right there. But if you're fine with having to find your window open and then going down here, then you access the client brochure files, which right now it seems there's none. Now, when I get rid of this, boom, get rid of that, I still go to documents and they're still under design. I have the client brochure file. So these are just pointers, quick pointers to that material. Does that make sense, you guys? So whenever you have stuff here on the desktop, in order to access it quickly, there's no need. There's no need, and it curtails the functioning of your computer versus having it either here or just put it here under the favorites. So everyone grab one folder, anything. And if it's one that you particularly do know that you want to reach, and ideally more of a subfolder, you don't want the classes folder that has 250 different classes unless you want to access all those classes. So grab a folder. And so in my case, I'm going to go back to say iLife, and then it's in this favorites area up here. Just drag it. And when you do this, you'll see that you have this like line. If I try to drop it inside a desktop, I'm going to move stuff there. So don't do that. Wait until you see this line with like a little pin tip. If I move it there, I'm going to move things into the desktop. That's not my goal. Wait until it's somewhere in that you say, okay, I want to put it there, and then let go. And that's when it shows up. And then I go straight to the iLife folder. Does that make sense? And then you go downloads, applications, boom, iLife, instead of having to go to all your document files. Now, where are those? If you click on any of those, they're still in the cloud. There's still, that whole thing is still showing you that this download folder is in my iLife class folder. The iLife class folder is in my Mac class. My Mac class is in my classes. My classes is in my document. So that's the path, right? That's the path for my file. But I can get to it quickly instead of having to go to documents, classes, file, to find it. And then when I'm done and I don't need that anymore, move it out of the way for a little bit, and there you go. So then you keep this fresh with only the stuff that you want to access all the time. Is it working for you guys? Putting stuff in there? Yeah. Molly, your hand is up.
Yeah, when you put your documents where the toolbar is that considered desktop? When you put it? When you,
no.
Yeah, when you drag it down near the waste paper basket, that when you put it down there near the toolbar.
Oh, in this area?
Yeah, is that considered desktop?
No, this is called a stack. It's just a quick access to documents. It's the same as, it's a favorite. It's like an area that between the trash and this first line,
yes,
it does exactly the same that this does. It helps us access things quickly. So I'm going to be working with the Illustrator class, and I move it in here. All this is a quick access to all the files that I have in my Illustrator folder. And I do that, and there they are. Okay, it's not the desktop. It's just like I'll go in and turn on a switch, right? And in fact, I prefer this for stuff that I'm truly, truly working on, because I don't even have to have a fire window. As I said before, if you have, say, a big window that's on and things open, then a lot of this stuff is hidden. So even if I open a Finder window right now, it could be that the Finder window is under this. So then I have to hide this to get to that, but this is not. I can always access this really quickly. So this is the most quickly accessible area of your computer. The second most quickly accessible area is the Finder window in the favorites. Okay. And then the third would be to actually dig into your files to find the stuff. Okay. But no, this is not your desktop. Now, when you're in documents, how do you create a folder? Well, right now I've already kind of minimized mine to a few. So it's easy in this empty space to right click and say new folder. But if you don't have empty space because you still have hundreds of things in here, you know, which is possible if your window just never gets empty space, then, and I showed this last week, so let me review that. I should have shown you again. Let me hide all that. Then if this is full, say this window, let me just kind of open all of this a bit so you can see what I mean by full. Say that no matter what you do, this is always full. So there's no place to right click and make a full. Then you go up here to File, New Folder, and make sure you're selecting what you want. In this case, docs, desktop, or documents or downloads. But if what you want is to make one in the documents, then you go File, New Folder, and it pops up here because it's a U for untitled folder. Then I've called it something with an A, like accessibility. Say I want to call it that. When I hit return, it's going to pop up to the top because I wrote the name with an A. That's because I'm viewing things by A. If I rewrite that name and call it mountain, then it kind of drags itself down to between the M and the P, right? So it kind of puts itself wherever the name. And that's why the new one that you make, whenever you make an untitled one and say new folder, it always pops up kind of down there because it's originally called untitled with a U. So it'll show kind of between the P and the U. And then when you give it a name, say cakes, it gotta go find it up there because it rearranged itself by alphabetical order. The only thing that doesn't do that if you arrange things by date modified, in which case then it's at the top because, you know, the latest things that you've changed. But yeah, normally things are viewed by name, and that kind of keeps it working. So once you make that new folder called cakes, maybe that cakes should go into recipes. And where's my recipes folders? That was in my personal. So I go find my personal. There's my recipes folder. And I grab this folder called cakes and I put it inside of recipes. Good. So now whenever I have a cake recipe, I'll put it inside of cake, you know, something like that. You could also already have been inside of this recipe folder. You double click, I'm inside of recipes. Over there, it tells me I'm inside of recipes. So now I can just have a smaller folder and it's easier because I have a lot of empty space. And now I can just right click in here, say new folder, and call this one desserts. And then cakes go inside of desserts, right? Because cakes are desserts. So then you keep organizing and then you do a right click and you say veggie main dishes or something like that. So, you know, you can keep organizing these things to death. And then this goes under veggie main dishes and stuff like that, chicken stock. Okay, so you, when you try to organize from the main one, it's for the big folders. But once you get into the smaller ones, there'll be more space for you to right click and make the folder right there. But if you don't have space, like I was saying before, because it's really full, then just go from here and make a new folder from File, New Folder. And then that one will pop in without you having to right click. How's it going, guys? So does anyone want to try calling out or writing in the chat what are the main folders that you're deciding to keep in your main documents? Like what's the names of the folders that you think work for you here? You can write it in the chat or you can speak up right now. your ideas can give someone else good ideas, so. Any folder other than what I have here that you might have decided was a good one to put at the main level? No one has a better idea than this, or not a better, a different one. All right, so Yolanda's saying finance, tax related, donations, banks, yeah. So in the finances one, that's a great idea, and I can just double click finances. So I'm in the finance one and I can put taxes, and then taxes you can have like a year, you know, so 2022 taxes, and you throw it inside of taxes, right? So now you have 2022, or I even double click taxes and I keep making a new one called 2021 from, or so inside of taxes, you can have a folder for receipts, for example. So if I'm starting to collect, if I've already finished, say, my 2021 taxes, and I'm going to start collecting, I'm living 2022, then 2022, I can make a new folder in here. So say I open 2022, and here, what I have, for example, I have a receipts. I have a receipts folder inside of my taxes, and I have another one with like pay stubs, and have another with invoices and stuff like that, right? So so then what happens is that as the year goes by, I fill them up. Now, if I scan in a bunch of receipts and I use this all the time, then maybe receipts is a good one to put in there. I'll know it's 2022 receipts, and every time I receive a receipt, like when you get emailed a receipt for something you've paid or you download, I just drag it, say that this was a receipt. I'll just drag it in there, and it goes and it puts itself in the right place. So let me do that again. Say that I'm just in my documents folder, and I've no quick access to receipts, but I put that in there. Or, as I said before, you put it down there. And then this is a receipt that I just received. Okay, so I'll just drop it in there. And I didn't open everything, but when I go open finances and taxes and there it is. There's the receipt that I just dropped in there. So it's easy to file stuff that you get all the time. Does that make sense, you guys? The things that you want to access continuously. And you might never, you might not want to be writing that novel because you're the kind of person that writes something once a month. Well, then go find it. But if you're someone who has a lot of work expenses and you want to file them, or medical receipts or invoices or stuff, you just put them here to make them quick access for you. Okay. And then leave the rest there. And then when you're working on your taxes this year, if you haven't done it yet, pull out the 2021 taxes, and then you quickly can access all that information. But after April 14th, you just drag it out and you keep working on your, on the receipts that you get all the time, or the invoices, until the next year, you'll have all the information in the right place. And if, God forbid, you ever get audited, then you can go back to, 2015 and open it up, and there's all the receipts, taxes, and all the stuff from 2015 that you have available. All right, so Yolanda, you said in the personal folder, you would put, for example, family photos and friends. You might have education. And there you would put events, classes, personal improvements, tips, health. You can have another one for medical. Yeah, so I have one called health, right? Thank you. In my personal folder, I have a folder called health. Inside of health, I have one called medical. And, one called insurance, with any kind of insurance information. I might have another one with like tests or something like that. I have another one that is just like health tips. Maybe when I hurt my shoulder, I downloaded a lot of like, what kind of stretches do I need to do to put my folder? So I put it in the folder that's inside of my medical folder, that it's inside of my health folder, it's inside of my personal folder, right? And then when I was avidly doing all my stretches, I could actually grab that one file, say that was my stretches, say that my stretches were in there somewhere. Let's assume that this smiley thing was my thing that was stretches. Then if you're really using it at that point a lot, that's a good file to put right down there, right? Because every morning when you have to get a guide to how to do your stretches, you just open it from here. When you're done, then you take it out, and then it's still there for when you need it again. See, so this part here and that part there are just quick access. to things that you are using in the moment. All right. Bonnie?
Hi, yeah, I just have a question about my side, I'm not sure what you call the list to the left, maybe.
The
maybe I'll-
sidebar. This thing is a sidebar.
That whole thing's called the sidebar. Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
I'll
And the
just-
reason I tell you, because when you want to see view or show the sidebar, sometimes people have this one turned off and you don't see it. And then it's very hard to know how to get around. That sidebar is truly important. Every time, Yolanda, every time you show your computer, the sidebar seems missing. You need to make sure to show your sidebar. It's kind of the access to all your stuff. So yeah, Bonnie, sorry I interrupted you.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
So my question is, I ended up with one that's got like my business name on it. Have no idea how it got there, which is not the problem, but it's got like a, God, what do you call that? Part of a machine that looks like a wheel.
Oh, yeah. So you have, it's like a smart, it's a smart folder. And it looks like a little gear.
Yes. like a-
So the smart folder, I haven't talked about that yet.
Okay.
And so say that I search for, it's not that, I didn't really want to explain some folders, but anyway, so let me say that I search for the word Mac, for example, right? And when I search for the word Mac, I have a lot of different things that have the word Mac, right? So then this could be a smart folder, and that I can save here. And so I can always find any file called Mac. Right, so I can, yeah, I'm trying, I haven't done it in this, I haven't done it here in this, in Big Sur, it seems a bit different. How to put the, how to put it in here. I'm trying to figure out how you got it in there and how to, I'm trying to remember. So once again, say that I want it, so it's a search, right? And I found a folder that, any file that's called Mac, that's what I request this folder to have. So you can do it by dates, by other stuff. Hold on, it's thinking. Come on. Okay, so then if I save that, right, then it becomes a search, and I want to add it to the sidebar. So I could call this one my Mac saved search, and I say save. Then I end up with that there. So this little gear thing means that whenever I want to find anything called Mac, I click on that, and that's all the stuff that I have that are called, that's called Mac.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
So things in there could also be in other folders. So
Yeah, so
Probably
it's a bit like Recents is a bit of a smart folder, in that it's been geared towards things that have been last open. But Mac becomes something that I just created, where now anything I ever had called Mac shows up there. So I don't need to put it in there. And people who've taken my photos class, you know how in the photos class I've showed you how to do smart albums. There's quite a few of you guys. It's the same idea. So now if I create a new file right now called Mac something, you know, Mac whatever, then I don't need to put it in here. This is not a place. Once again, this is just, let me view it again as a list. This is just a listing of anything called Mac. So if I click on it, look at where it is. It's hiding all the way in there. Look at how many,
Wow.
look at how many folders and folders I hold stuff in, right? This is my backups drive that I have in there. And
Yeah.
so I have folders and folders and folders and folders that folder is in. And this is just one of the handouts where I keep who's been here on what day. So I have to keep that, but I keep that inside of my attendance records, which is inside of my attendance for fall 2021, which is inside of my attendance grades, which is inside of my stuff students, which is inside of my class admin, inside of my admin, inside of SPC classes, inside of my documents folder, that's inside of my Diana Musacchio users Macintosh hard drive. It's kind of like, So as you can see, every night, every day after class, I have to do attendance. Can you imagine if I had to go all the way in there to do attendance? So what I have is I have attendance records for right there pulled out. And so whenever I need to go to attendance records, I just do that, right? So then when it's summer and I'm not doing attendance records, I can get rid of it. So this is in a way that it's a Mac. It's anything that I create called Mac will show up here no matter where it is. I'm going to click on it and this one is in the documents folder. When I click on that one, it's in there. When I click in that one, it's in there. You know, it's all in different places. So it's similar to the recents, but I made it. Now, if you have one, then you've no idea what it's for, then get rid of it. But you can just remove from sidebar, right click and remove from sidebar. And there you go. And it's not there
Well,
anymore.
I had another gear in their area called searching. So,
And when you click on it, what happens?
yeah, it says searching the smack dot saved search.
Yeah, exactly. Because remember when I did that search, when I said new smart folder and I created that search. So I'm going to go for Mac again, or let me say Photoshop, maybe if I have anything that's called Photoshop. Then when I save it, so now it's searching for anything called Photoshop. So give me a second. Oh, it's doing the search. Okay, name matches Photoshop. I have so many things. Okay, so these are all the files that it found that matches Photoshop, the name. So then when I have so many. It's just that I'm using things that I know I have names on a lot so that I would have an example. Then when I go to save it, I have to give it a name. But if I didn't give it a name, then it saved it under like searching.saved search. So that's the name of that folder. So if I don't give it a name and I just say save, then that just says new smart folder, or it says search, because in the end, these folders are a search. So you can actually right click and rename it for something useful. But right now, unless you know what that search is for, it's useless. This I just made, so I know it's one that has the word Photoshop. But otherwise, if I hadn't named it, it's hard to know what this is for. Just get rid of it. Okay.
Okay.
I like your little buddy that's watching the class with you.
Yes, watching.
All right. Okay, guys, great question. Anyone else? So if you find, so basically, if you see a little folder here that has a little gear icon, that's a smart search, a smart folder that you might have had no idea it was there for, and that you didn't even know existed. But if you click on it and you can make sense of what it's searching, maybe it's searching for something within a certain date, or it's searching files with a certain name or whatever, and you want to save that search. Now, you said someone said there's something with a business name. Well, the files related to that business maybe show up there, but then it would have to have something in the file name for it to show up there. So anyway, yeah, I have never found, to me, the smart folders here to be that useful, except from where I'm working on something that has many versions. So say that I am creating the other day I was helping my son edit a movie. When you're editing a movie, you want to save different versions just in case something goes wrong, you have the older versions. So say that I had misplaced a version, which I don't because I put things in the right place, but say I had misplaced a version, then I could go ahead and say search for any of the files with that name, and it would come up with all my versions, and one would be wherever it was saved. So, you know, that might be a way to do it. But even then, I don't know that I'd save it. So I don't necessarily use the smart folders a lot. But if some of you has a good reason to use one, I'd always want to find good examples as to why you might use one. It's more, I find it's more useful in a situation when I used to work in as an art director in a graphic design company, where many of us worked on the same project, right? So then it's good to have a folder where stuff that's in my computer and in my two other designers' computers, or in, you know, the other people, to have one folder that holds stuff that was networked in many different computers and stuff like that. But when it's my own folder, my own computer, I've never really seen much to use for the smart folders, but that's just my opinion. That's what they are.
So,
Okay.
Don't mind one more question about that. So if I get rid of that, it's not really a folder, right? if I get rid of that searching, it would just leave.
Yeah,
out-
it's a search. It's a search. So if you get rid of it, you don't lose anything that's in it. Yeah,
Okay, thanks.
good point. Deborah's got a good point. Like if she's saying that it would be good for genealogy, if you research a certain person, there might be documents with that name from a long time ago. So maybe 10 years ago, you've been researching the Friedmans, and then now you've been researching the Hoffmans. By the time you want to search the Friedmans again, who knows where you left them, if you put them in the right place. As long as you labeled the file names something Friedman, you can say, okay, put together all my Friedman files here, please. And then that would be a good idea. If you organize your files well from the beginning, that might not be an issue, but some things it might, because you might find that you have Friedman files here, Friedman files there, Friedman file there, and this collects all your Friedman files. Not collects, doesn't move them. That's the good news. Friedman files stay wherever they came from, but you can see them all in one search. That's really what a smart folder is. It's a search, right? So you see them from wherever those files are in the folder, in the smart folder called Friedman. I'm just saying Friedman because if you notice, that's Deborah who asked the question, and she's Friedman. So then you can have one of them be in the genealogy search that you did 20 years ago. The other one can be in something that you just found a photograph of. You know, it's so cool because when I was doing, I have very little genealogy research I can do here because I'm from Argentina, and so I don't have family here. But when my father was very young, he came to the States and lived here for a few years. He was Argentine ambassador. He worked in the embassy in Washington, and then he went back to Argentina. And I actually found through one of these things, the entrance, the arrival to the port stamped with his name, and then the exit to the port stamped with his name. And there's a photo of that. And that's like, oh, that's cool. Right. So anyway, that's as far as I can go. There's just because that kind of stuff, there's no other background here for me. So anyway, yeah, you put that in a folder called photos of my dad, and then you forget where that folder is because 10 years later, it's like, where was that thing? And as long as you gave it like the last name Musaki or something, you can do a search and it would pop up and tell you where it is. And then you can save that with all your other genealogy files. So yeah, that would be a good idea.
A smart folder is like recents, a recents folder.
It's like a recents folder. It's a search. That's all it is. The recents folder is a search that its category is date last opened.
So you
right?
can't save it. You can't save it.
What?
You can't save the whole search smart folder.
Yeah, that's what the smart folder is. It's a saved search.
I know, but you can't save it like that on your computer under documents or something.
Well, I mean, technically you could grab all those files and move them all to one folder called Mac files, right? But then you take them out of where they are. So yes, you can, but that means you're gathering them from all over the place and you make one folder called Mac, if that's what you were searching, or Friedman. But then if they were in the right place, you've dragged them out of it, right? So technically it's to see them, but not to move them. Anyway. Okay, so we have 10 more minutes before the class is over. I'm just trying to make sure that we got the basics of what this class was trying to teach you, which is organizing files, putting them, know where things are, how to access them quickly. So any other questions regarding this? You guys are doing great. You're asking me really good questions. Anything left here that's kind of weird that you don't understand? By the way, this, if you connect anything to your computer, like with hard drives or any of that, then they pop up here. So this is not a file. This is just an icon that tells me that I have these two hard drives connected to my computer. This one is a time machine, and we'll talk about that next week. And this one is just an extra hard drive that holds extra stuff that I don't have in this computer, right? So it's just extra hard drives. For those of you taking next class, be aware that I will be asking you, not immediately, but to buy a portable hard drive to do to do a backup of all these files that you will have so neatly organized. And I request, since most of you are moving on to that class, that during this week, it's not like class is over, yay, vacation time. During this week, keep organizing your files, right? Keep working on this, because then when we start next week, when we start talking about saving all of this in a backup, what backup you will make will already be nicely organized, and you won't be saving a bunch of junk that you don't need, right? And you will be keeping now, since unless there's any burning questions, and I'm not seeing, well, Catherine has her hand up. Otherwise, I want to show you one more thing. So Catherine, what's your question?
I just wanted to create a subfolder within something, and I'm having difficulties doing that. So if I want to subdivide a folder that has some documents in it, and I want to
Yeah.
break that in part, it
Yeah, the
just
easiest
created a
thing is-
whole new folder.
Well, if you to subdivide a folder, you have to create new folders to have folders within folders. Let me go back into my big old, this is my backup, right? So I have, this is not a time machine backup. This is a different kind of thing. I'll show you later what kind of backups they are. But say that I have, so this is my, this is the backup of stuff from, let me see, personal from 2018. If I open that, this is the stuff that I have in my personal, right? I have Diana, structure, Jags, there's stuff inside of there, right? If I open there, I'll have like my scan signature, right? Oh, talk about financial. So here you can see how I have my taxes divided per month, per year for all the years. Now this is a backup, stops in 2018, but it keeps going, right? And then when you open that, and so these examples that I'm giving you are actual things that I do. So I can go back in my backups all the way to, I guess this is the first time I did it online, to find my information for taxes, right? So when you want to make a folder inside of something that already exists, the only way to do that is to put more folders. So back to, say, documents. Say that I want to make a new folder inside of classes because it's gotten too busy. The easiest thing is to double click, get inside of classes, right? And so here I have Mac class, Illustrator class, Photoshop class. And inside of Mac class, I put iLife Mac, Mac level 1, Mac level 2, right? So when I want to subdivide, say, any of these that has too much stuff, you go into it and you create a new folder. And you call it, I don't know, digital design techniques, which is the other class that I'm in right now. And then I keep putting stuff in there. And if there is too much, you just move it from one into the other until you slowly find the right, thing.
Okay,
So
and
if you want to share, if you want to share your screen to see your exact
that
example,
would
I
be
can help
so
you.
helpful. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I keep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm
I have a
sharing.
question, Diana.
Yeah. Well, she
Do
shares her
you
screen.
do you want us to like I have my external hard drive? Do you want it to show in the desktop?
You can choose to have it show or not.
Okay, because every
Um,
time if I'm going to open it, I need to close it with when I close the computer, I need to eject it before, right?
No.
No, not really. Okay.
No, it could stay connected. You don't need to eject it. Now, if you're gonna take your laptop somewhere
Okay.
and you're gonna have to unplug, yeah, you might want to eject it first. But if you turn off your computer first, completely off, not sleep. If you turn it off, then you can unplug it. But if not, don't ever unplug. First eject it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you,
If the
Diana.
computer is sleeping, you should eject. All right, so let's see, Catherine.
So I'm at Lovality Forms and Invoices, but also writings used to live under that as well. And so I just want to, like my particular client invoices, I want to break out as invoices separately. So if I wanted to break up this forms and invoices into two more categories underneath
So
that.
double click Lovality, double click that folder to open up, double click it. Now you're inside of the folder that's just Lovality. Okay. So it's separated from everything else. And now what did you want to do this? You want to
I
create
want
a
to
new
create
folder?
an invoice file where I moved all these invoices.
Okay, so go down to the bottom where you see some empty space.
Mhm.
Down, down, down a bit more. Okay, now right click. New folder, call it whatever you want to call it. Now you clicked
Oh,
away, so you
did it
need to go
so
back
see,
to it.
it keeps going up high.
Well, it go because U goes ahead of W, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
now right click and call it whatever you need to call it.
Invoices, yeah. And then I hit a
And
return.
then hit return. That's why
And
I
then
moved
can I
even
drag
higher.
it? Mhm.
No, because you have it by alphabetical order, so you can't drag it anywhere. Now you put whatever files you want inside of it. Now,
I see.
which of these files need to go in there? So go
Okay,
grab.
so my client invoices will go, I won't belabor the
Do it,
drag.
grab
thing
one,
that I'm
grab
having
one,
trouble.
no, go for it, grab one and put it in there. It's a great
Oh, wait,
way to show people.
Jeez.
Put your mouth down. And then drop it into invoices and notice that it's not going in there. Oh,
Mm.
this is important. This is a good thing you showed me that.
Mhm.
It didn't go in there. Why? Because your mouse tip has to touch the word invoices and your mouse tip was
Ah.
not touching it. So try again, move it up. And now move your mouse there until, there we go. Now you lit it up. If you.
And
now
it's
in
there. Okay,
See
great.
that?
Thank
And
you
then
so
keep-
much.
Keep moving them in there. Did you
Thank
guys see
you.
what she did? She just make a new folder. So let me show that again one more time, that had just happened to you.
Double
Let me
click.
show that. I'm going to share my screen. Someone's asking me, what did you do to put something up on top? So I showed a little trick once that since it's alphabetical order, if you do really want something to be up higher than others, there is a trick because say that you want personal to go up on top. Since this is by name, personal will always be down there. So you can right click and rename it. And if you make a little space in front, the space is higher than the numbers.
Oh.
So say that you really want to force it to be on top, then a space helps. That's all. That was, it gives you a leg up, so to say. But what I was trying to say that I want to show is that when you move things, so say that I want to move this document into finances, right? So if I grab this from here and I move it into finances, see how nothing's happening with finances? It's not going blue. And even when I put my whole thing on top of finances, nothing's happening, which is what happened to her. The tip of my mouse, see how it's at the very end? It says very important document.rtf. See the tip of my mouse? The tip of my mouth has to touch that thing. So I need to move it all the way there and boom. See how now the tip of my mouth touched finances? Now I can let go. Or so if I move something from up here, it kind of do that automatically because the tip you touch there. But sometimes when you pick it up from back there, your mouse is way back here and you have to go all the way there before it. Does that make sense? The tip of your mouse is the only valid point in all of this. The name is really long. I drag it from here and I try to put it now into desktop. Nothing until watch the tip. See, the desktop isn't turning on until boom, the tip of my mouse touched it there. So usually I say it's easier if you just grab it from the front because then you don't even think about it. You do that and it's natural because you're grabbing it from up there, but not from the name. If you guys click on name, many times what happens is this, the name lightens up. The name lightens up, then you click in there and it's weird because the name shifts. So either use the little icon or use the backspace, but try not to grab from the name because very quickly a second click makes you light up the name and then it's a mess. So the icon in front is good or the space behind is good. But if you grab the space behind, then you need to be aware that you need to move your mouse all the way over to touch where you want to drop it and then you let go. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, Dorothy.
When I
Wait a minute. Actually, before you ask your question, I want to acknowledge that it's 3:46. So people who need to leave when the class is over, we're a minute past the time. And if so, and I don't see you again, it's been an awesome time knowing you. And if I do see you again, I'll see you next, thank you for the clapping. I'll see you next Wednesday. All right. And I'll still answer a couple questions. And I know I promised Justine, and I do have stuff to do in between here in my next class. So quick answer to Dorothy, and then next is Justine. Yeah.
Okay, it's when I migrated from my iMac to my MacBook Pro, I just realized now from today that the downloads from my MacBook Pro, my iMac did not go into my MacBook Pro because they are not in the cloud.
Mhm. You need to drag them yourself. Yeah.
So I have to put from my iMac, now I have to go to my iMac and put all of the downloads in the cloud.
Or put them in a USB or in a hard drive and put them over and put them in the downloads of your new computer again, if you want to keep them in the downloads. But ideally, if they're in the downloads, I've recommended not to have that. Put them in the cloud and they'll transfer, and delete the ones you don't want. And then your downloads of the old computer will be empty and all your files will be now in the documents of your new computer because you put them in the cloud.
Right. Okay. Just for confirmation. Thank
Good
you.
question. Perfect. Yeah. So Justine, do you want to share your
Yes.
screen and show me
Hi.
your issue? Hi,
Sure thing. Thank you. I appreciate you
you're welcome.
taking a
Let me
little
look.
time to.
I just need to be clear. What time does my next class start? Give me a sec. It starts at 4:30 and I have
Thank you, Diana.
about half an hour of work. You're welcome. Bye, Patricia.
See you next week.
See you next week. Okay.
Okay, so this, so I get here and it says iCloud storage is full. I go upgrade.
Let's first look at your iCloud.
Oh,
Well, it's okay. This is showing it. iCloud storage, you used to have it at, say cancel for a second down there, because I just
Oh,
want
cancel,
to go
yeah.
down to cancel for a second. So here it says iCloud storage 5, 69 megs available. So that means that you have bought some. First, let's see how much stuff you have in your desk. Can you go to your documents? I'm going to see how much stuff you have in your documents. Maybe you're trying to put too much stuff in there. So go in here, go to your document. You do Command I to do the info thing that I said, because that's the easiest way to say how big is your document. So you have 5 gigabytes worth of stuff in your documents. Okay. So can you don't have stuff in your desktop. How about your downloads? Do you have a lot of stuff in your downloads? Command I. Command I to the downloads. It's not about, that doesn't help me much.
All right.
Command I, so less than a gigabyte. Okay. Close that. Go scroll down, down a little bit. On the left side on the sidebar, I'm sorry. Scroll down on the sidebar. Click on, let me see, scroll up again a little bit. Click on your downloads.
yeah, it's on download.
And then, okay, down at the bottom of your path bar where it says Macintosh hard drive, in the path bar. Yeah, go ahead and double click on Macintosh hard drive. Okay, now go to users and do a Command I to see how much. Well, actually, I need to back up even. Yeah, that's not going to give me a number right now. Okay, so you don't have that much stuff is the point I'm saying. I'm seeing that you have stuff, but it's not like it's humongous. So yeah, I was wondering if maybe you had too much stuff for that first tier, but you don't. You're fine. So good. That's all I was trying to say. Okay, so close out for a minute and let's go back. So you tried to pay. So got it. So you went to payment.
Well, here's the thing.
Oh.
So I just was trying to kind of start from where I had started from.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to, yeah, so I went upgrade.
Yeah.
And that takes me to.
Yeah.
Well, somehow before that took me, oh, this is what's loading.
It
Okay,
does,
so
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
clicked on this.
You clicked on that one and you said
Next.
next.
And I put in my password.
Mm-hmm.
I tried doing this actually a little while ago just to see if it would work.
Mhm.
And it
Yeah.
always says it doesn't, it's not entered right the first time. And then I do it again and it always takes it.
That's weird. It's the same password. So then something's weird there.
Yeah. But anyway, and so then I get here
But
and I'm
it,
like, well,
but it didn't
okay.
take you in because
Right.
it basically needs to ask you your credit card, unless do you have your credit card already set up in your.
Well, and the thing is, at one point when I did this process, it somehow did take me to a place where I put in payment information, but then it still wasn't you know, it wasn't like applying it. So it still was,
Well, let's go
showing
another place,
iCloud.
just don't do it from here, then go to a website, go to a web page anywhere. Open up a web browser.
Hmm.
Mhm. And go open a new page, yeah, and then just write upgrade iCloud or something like that. Yeah, and then hit return, and then upgrade to iCloud.
This first link.
The next one, yeah. Mhm. Oh, this is just a how to do it. Okay, that's not, well, maybe it'll give you a link here. Go down to see if it gives you a link here. This is just the how to.
Yeah.
Down there. You tap here to upgrade. Okay, down there, go down again. There. If you're on your phone or later on your Mac.
So yeah, it's not from a phone, but should I?
But
send it
it's
to them?
basically, it's telling you to do it from the same place. It doesn't matter. It's still upgrading whichever you're in. Click on, basically it's telling you to do exactly the same that you're doing. Go back to your system preferences, Apple ID, which is where we were before. System preferences. And now go here to the Apple ID, and that's where, and then go click on, yeah, click on that. And then go down on the bottom right to manage, which is, I know you were getting to it a different way, but this is that same thing.
Mhm.
Add storage, try up there. We're just kind of trying to do it, attack it in a different way. You end up in the same place, but I'm wondering if perchance, yeah, click on that. This is where you seem to be stuck. It says you will be charged immediately in each payment period until you see, I've never seen this, that you put it in one time and it works, the second time it doesn't work.
Now it's not showing.
Well, this is more reasonable. So it almost seems like your password is wrong and that it should not. Because you shouldn't have a password that you repeat twice and it works, right? So are you sure this is the right password? And if not, you need to see if you have the right password for your Apple ID.
This is the one that I've been using and it's been putting me through here. So-
No, I mean, you've been using it and you have to type it in twice, and then it's basically, it's almost like it's saying, no, it's not going to work, and it
Now it
reduces
says
and it takes you back.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to explain that.
I know what you mean, but in the past, the fact that it let you do and then it went back, but it wasn't processing the payment, it was almost like it was going, no, that's not the right one, and it wasn't taking it. I don't think it's ever taken your payment, or you would have seen it, right? So
anyway, I don't know. I don't know how to explain. It just,
yeah, but the whole, whichever else happened, maybe in 2 or 3 different ways, depending on how and where you type it from, it's not letting you go. So either your password is not right, or
this is okay. I have
something
to
with
look
your
it
Apple
up.
ID.
Right.
So
So,
then-
it's Apple ID, which is different from my just regular computer password.
Oh, it's not your computer password.
Right?
No. This is your Apple ID. You're
Yeah,
paying
okay.
Apple. Yeah.
But I have been, I kind of think I have them both set to be the same. Anyway,
Well,
I have to look that
over
up. I
here.
have it.
Look it up, and if not, see on the far right where it says forgot, you can click on
Yeah,
that and you
right,
can reset a password, right?
Yeah.
Or last thing, if it still doesn't work, this is it. The last chance, the slightest chance of these all is that truly sometimes there is an issue with your Apple ID for some reason. And so the only ones who can fix that, you just call Apple and say, hey, something's happening with my Apple ID. I've tried the password that I have, and I know it's correct, and it keeps telling me I can't pay for 50 gigabytes. But because basically the payment isn't going through, and that's why it still says that I
Right. Yeah.
So you need to either find your correct password or call Apple and see if there's an issue with the account, which is why the password isn't going in, which it could be. So for some people that does end up happening. And then there's someone specialized on the phone that sends you to people who understand how to handle your iCloud issues, and then they'll get you handled.
Okay, but if I just click forgot, then isn't that how I can reset my?
If it's the password issue, in this case, it does seem a password issue, but in case you do put in the right password and you reset it and it's not that, then you
Okay,
have to
I
go
was just
to the
checking
phone
that
to
should be
Apple.
my first step.
Definitely
so-
first try to find the right password before you change your ID,
Oh, well,
your password. You don't have it written somewhere?
I do, but I mean, is it really that big of a deal to just change it?
No,
Update it?
but sometimes what they're gonna do is if you set it up correctly with them, they'll send you an email to somewhere, make sure you can access that email and stuff like that, right? Make sure, because if you say
Right.
forgot, and then you have to be able to access whatever, they're
Right.
gonna start having you put up your phone, make sure that you are you, they're gonna make you jump through a couple of security hoops to make sure you are you before you change your password ID. And if
Uh-huh.
you had it written down somewhere, it's easier, but if not, go ahead and do that, yeah. Go ahead.
It's
and click
just
on
it,
forgot.
yeah, I mean, it's in an old phone that I would have to power up and then go into, so it's not easily
Got it.
accessible, but I can access it.
Got it. Because I find that sometimes people want to change it and then they don't have all the information it takes to change it, right? In
Mhm,
fact, the
mhm.
first thing usually is type in your old password, which of course is like, no, that's not useful, right? Because I don't know it. So then the second one is, okay, we'll send you an email. And some people go, I don't use that email anymore. Then you're in trouble, right? So you need to always
Mhm.
make sure that you keep updated that kind of information. But yeah,
Yeah,
if
no,
you
this
have
is-
that,
that's
then
so
go ahead
fair.
and click forgot and then go through those hoops. Mhm.
All right,
And there you
I'll
go.
find it.
Cool.
All right.
They're pretty detailed on their security stuff and questions because they want to make sure that someone else isn't changing your Apple ID and that it is safe, that
Right,
you are
sure.
truly you. So, but other
No, I
than that-
appreciate that. I appreciate that they,
So
pay
hopefully let me
attention to
know.
that.
Otherwise, my email, if it's not working, other than that, let me know. But otherwise, hopefully by next Wednesday, it'll be all resolved.
Yeah,
and we
yeah,
talk again.
thank you.
If we
Appreciate
talk
it.
again. Okay.
Thank you,
All right,
Deanna.
guys. Bye-bye.
See you
I'll see
next
some of
week.
you
Have a
guys this
good week.
afternoon. And if
Have a
not, I'll
good
see
week.
you all next week. Thank you. Bye, Julie.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye, Annette. Bye, Deborah. Bye, Dorothy. Bye, Doug.